You go get me a scientist who says this, and I'll go get you one who says the opposite. You find this in politics, right? Climate control.
Okay, wait, hold up. I wanna challenge that for a second. So when you say for everyone that says one thing, you'll find someone that says another, I think in layman's terms that sounds correct, but in science we have what's called a consensus, right? And we go with the consensus because, you know, collectively the best minds, what most of them think, you know, tends to be the best information.
Now, before you play that out, let me just say, because you're absolutely right, and I consider that, but I also consider that the consensus, the prevalent thought process, suppresses the outliers, but that doesn't mean that they're outliers.
Okay.
Like there's always a group, there's always a paper, there's always someone or two or three people who are outliers to the consensus. Again, I take it back to Egyptology. Go on, I'm sorry.
Oh no, you can finish your thought. I want to hear what you have to say.
So in Egyptology, I'll use that as an example. The consensus is wrong. Okay. It is. And most people who understand the consensus are wrong support the consensus. This is something me and Ahmad were talking about. He was like, and the reason why is because the facts are something that they don't want to historically accept.
Okay.
That these ancient advanced peoples were black.
Okay.
So the consensus is the date of the Sphinx isn't really the date of the Sphinx. Most people who understand Egyptology know that. But they're not going to publish that in a book. They're not going to publish it in a book.
You mean
they're not going to say, no, it's actually far older.
You mean even to this day? Even to this day?
Yeah, to this day.
That information is still being suppressed?
Oh, yeah. I mean, people know it, but you're not going to read a book that says there's not a book that publishes the actual age of the Sphinx. Ahmad had a conversation, right? He was telling me how he had went to a conference. It cost him $2,500 to attend this conference.
Okay.
And at this conference, Egypt scholars were talking about the Sphinx and the age of the pyramids. And he said, somebody put up a picture, and the picture wasn't something that you could clearly define what it was, but you could tell that it was stone and that any scholar would be able to date the stone. So when the scholars studied the stone, they dated the stone to Ahmad breaks it down that the date of the stone was a very old date. And he goes, and then when it was revealed to the scholar that the stone was the Sphinx, the scholar then refuted it. So Ahmad said he knows that this is a very famous, he's like one of the top in the field. Ahmad knows him. And Ahmad said, Ahmad made contact with him twice before he was actually able to have, like, he met him in Germany the third time. He met him once at this conference in Texas, again in Mexico, and then he actually, like, interacted with him over the course of days in Germany. And Ahmad put the same question to him, and Ahmad and the scholar said he said, you know, I was asked this question before, and he said, I will answer the question. It took Ahmad 5 years to get the answer, and the scholar told him why. He was like, I have to finish up my tenure first. This is what he told him. So I have to finish up my tenure first, and then I'll answer the question. And he finished up his tenure, and he told Ahmad, he was like, you know, the work that I put out, he published a book and he put it out. And he goes, the date that I give in the book is the date that we who share a consensus publish. And he goes, and I'm even criticized because I give an actual older date than what is consensus. He was like, but the date that the actual age of the Sphinx, he was like, it's a far older date than the one that we give you. And Ahmad asked him why. And this was a white guy. And he said, because. This is what he told Ahmad. He was like, because scholars don't want to admit that these ancient civilizations responsible for this technology were black. It's easier the white people whiteified Egypt by making the race that came up alongside Egypt, that actually interacted with Egypt and maybe created Egypt. Certainly, Ahmad tells me this is the only race. The Egyptians were conquerors, and Ahmad said there's only one race that the Egyptians absorbed but did not conquer. They absorbed them and fully integrated them into their society. And he said this. He said, "Ish, this is because they were already closely associated. They're called the Nubians." And he said what happened was white people associated all of this technology. He was like, they whiteified Egypt and paralleled it with the Nubians, which is why black people embrace this Nubian ideology and Nubia this and Nubia that, so that they could take Egypt and whiteify it, because he was like, and this is just what they do in Egyptology to this day. There is no scholar, you can become an Egyptian scholar right now, and you can verify the dates of all these things. And if you publish it, you'll be considered an outlier and people will ostracize you. So in order to continue to gain credibility in the field, to discover what you really want to know, you're not going to publish those dates, Mike.
Right.
You're going to subscribe to the consensus so that you can continue to gain the knowledge that you're seeking. Think about this. Why do you think all of the greatest Black American scholars went to Harvard and Yale? It wasn't because they were the best white schools in the country. Say again?
Because they wanted to be accepted?
Because it had libraries with our real history and real information.
Okay.
Like, it had the real information that isn't just disseminated to regular people.
Okay.
So that's why they strive to get into Harvard and Yale, because of their libraries, because what it gives you access to. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like being in the Catholic Church and trying to get into the Vatican, because what you then get access to, not what is considered consensus.
Right.
Or a narrative. And I'm not saying that science, I mean, come on, 2 + 2 is 4. That is a consensus.
Right.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about outliers to theories that have a consensus. There are outliers, and there's a reason why these outliers exist. And I'm not saying the people that support the consensus are stupid, but the people who are outliers can't be stupid either if they're quantum physicists.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's with the Egyptology stuff, there are some reasons, there are some messed up reasons why people are holding that information back. With something like climatology, it's climatology has the highest consensus known to science. And the only
but conservatives have scientists that will tell you exactly the opposite of what they do. You know this, and they use it for their arguments.
Listen to.
I don't know if they're paying them.
Well, listen to what you just said. You said conservatives have scientists, so that's not the way science works.
What I mean is, when I say that, let me rephrase that, because it's wrong. That's just my bad phraseology. What I mean is, scientists apparently seem to be influenced politically, financially, or otherwise to follow a political agenda which seems to go against the consensus.
Well, let me put it to you this way. I see it in a little more simple of a fashion. I mean, while what's the name? While whatever oil company, may have some scientists working for them who are looking at, fringe science or whatever, it could be the other way. They could just be looking at scientists on the fringes and going after that information and trying to juxtapose it with the 99% of people who are in consensus with each other and saying, see, here's an opposing view, when that's really
But all
intellectually
they need is
dishonest.
one person with money to say, I believe you because I want to make an argument. Because this science is counterproductive to my business.
Well, that's what I mean, though. I mean, it.
I get you going. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm saying it might not be that they found that they're buying off scientists. It might just be that they're just paying attention to those few who have an opposing view and just blowing that up as if their view is, just as important as everyone else's. Um, are you still there?
Yeah, hold on just a second. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I want to say something real quick. So I just want to say also to that to speak to that conversation. You look at court. Both lawyers bring in psychologists that are going to say two different things.
Mm-hmm.
One's going to be like he's sane, the other one's like he's insane.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Like you just find these contradictions from learned men kind of like everywhere.
No, it's very true. And I think that's where the consensus comes into play. And that's where science needs to be depoliticized. It needs to be very apolitical and very just solely evidence based and not have any agenda behind it.
I want to read something to you, by the way.
Okay.
Somebody responded in that thread that we started this conversation with.
Yeah.
Her name is Jenny M. Wang.
Okay.
First sentence. It's the best sentence of this whole thread. I don't eat bats.
Okay.
I'm American, born in America. I literally have nothing to do with China other than I went on an orphanage trip once to help get some kids adopted by documenting a medical exam on them. I literally am risking my life by still going into clinics to help test for COVID and treat patients here in America because, in all caps, I'm American. I have friends whose parents are from China. Would you tell them to go back to China, even if they haven't been there for years? Don't go to China then if you don't like what they're doing. But don't punish people who live in America for what a totally different country is doing. Like, duh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, not her, you know what I mean? I'm saying duh on my friend's behalf. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on.
Well, we must not become our oppressors. We can't.
Yep, I say that all the time. Go ahead, speak, preach.
No, that's one of my favorite phrases. Is we must not become our oppressors, and it's very easy to do, and it's been happening for years. People are always crapping on the next group, you know, punching down, and we can't do that. We definitely can't. But yeah, I mean, anywhere where this stuff is happening, we have to call it out without allowing it to color the way we see people. Like all this stuff that China is doing to Africans, we can't be like attributing that to Chinese people. We know the Chinese government does messed up things to dissidents. We know that their system is not open to freedom of speech and things like that. But we know our own house is not in order either. We know that we're killing innocent, black people all the time. Most of them young black males, and it's been happening for years. Same stuff NWA was talking about. Same stuff that Sanford and Son was talking about. Same stuff that's been happening, ever since we were quote unquote emancipated. So, I mean, we just have to be careful the way that we point fingers when we're allowing stuff to happen under our own noses.
Yep. Yep.
And
And
I
we're
often
letting
wonder,
it happen.
and I often wonder what it's going to
We're not
take.
only letting it happen in this case, we're complicit in it.
Yeah.
Like, how dare us? That's sometimes how I be feeling. Like, man, how dare us as black people ever be conned or even proactively support anything that equates to oppression?
Yeah.
Given where we came from in this country.
Sure. Sure. But you know,
Like,
people have
that bothers me.
people have many different ways of deflecting. You know, um, we have we still have a large section of our population that doesn't. Uh, it's not really compassionate to like gay populations and their struggle. And
Yeah,
if you
you know,
try,
that's the first thing I go to.
and if you try to compare, people get offended. And I'm like,
Yep.
I don't know I mean, what are comparisons for? What are analogies for if you can't use it for compassion or for understanding? Like, why do
I got
people?
into a conversation some years ago on Facebook where I posted a meme, the retard meme, and I felt bad and I removed it.
Mhm.
But at the time, the guy was like, and now you calling your insult to me? And I said, listen, man, you're right. And I'm wrong for doing this. I said, but the original context of the post was a friend of mine had asked, why is it that homosexuals compare their plight to the plight of black people in America?
Mhm.
And I said, well, you're making the comparison. I said, I don't think that anyone argues over who's more oppressed. Oppression is oppression. And he said, well, he asked me to explain what I meant. And I said, I'll give you an example. In one of Frederick Douglass's biographies, he says that the most detectable black men that he ever encountered were the two black men who argued over who had the better master.
Wait, you said detectable?
Detestable.
Oh, detestable. Okay, okay.
Were the two black men that argued over who had the better master.
Mhm.
Comparing oppressions is like arguing over whose master is worse.
Right,
You're both slaves.
right. Well,
Whether you're in the house or in the field, you're still a slave. So anyway, hold on, let me just get to my point.
Sure, sure.
So this guy came on. He's like, I totally disagree. He's like, you know, you got gay. All of this is speech that I told him is hate speech. I'm like, you sound like you're oppressor, which is why I ultimately end up saying it's retarded. You sound like you're oppressor. You're saying things like, yo, I gave this dude Martin Luther King and Frederick Douglass, and what he gave me is what's next? Blind people flying airplanes? Because as this is what he was comparing gay people getting rights to. Blind people flying airplanes. And I'm like, dude, this is retarded.
Well,
like, you're literally using the words. He's like, I don't want to see him on my TV. I'm like, you sound like a white dude in the 60s talking about a black person. I don't have any problem with black people. I just don't want to see him on my TV.
Hey, speaking of
I just don't want him drinking from my fountain.
Speaking of which, unless it's for unless it's because you're referring back to the language that was originally used, or unless it's for another reason, we might want to chill on the R word.
R word?
Retarded.
Okay. You're right. So what I did was I posted a meme. And the meme that I posted ended the argument. Well, he posted the meme. And that led to his demise in this argument. Because we went on for paragraphs. And he said to me, he posted this meme of all these different colored people standing in a group. And he said, which one of them is gay? Now, mind you, there were black people in it. He was like, you can clearly tell who the black person is.
Right.
Tell me which one is gay. This is what he said. I didn't answer his question directly. I just posted a meme of a whole bunch of black people marching during civil rights. And I asked him the same question.
Okay.
And that ended the conversation. You tell me which one of these people is gay. Because in theory, what you're telling me is is that the gay black person has to pick which part of oppression he's subject to.
That's what I was going to
Like
bring
he
up.
gets a choice.
That's what I was going to bring up. Is when black folks kind of get offended at the comparison, and when they feel like gay people are getting rights quicker than black people are, quote unquote, I'm like, they're kind of erasing the fact that there are plenty of gay black people. So it's kind of like, what you said. You're like picking one oppression over the other.
I mean, to me, that was a simple conclusion, right? Like, are you really like, come on, oppression is oppression.
Right. Do you remember that? Horrible thing that happened in Florida a few years ago, where there was a shooting at a nightclub. Do you remember that?
Maybe give me some details.
Pulse. I think it was called Pulse nightclub. It was like a big deal.
Okay.
It was like one of the bigger shootings, if not like a really bad one, or even one of the worst. But it was painted as, this was a gay nightclub, and I don't know if the person who did it made some anti-gay remarks or exactly what happened, but when black people were talking about it, it was kind of like it went into the oppression Olympics again, which no one wins the oppression Olympics. But then, like,
right.
the more you did your research, A, this was a popular gay nightclub, but B, this was a poppin' spot that straight people went to as well and had fun there. But C, a lot of these were people of color who got killed, right? A lot of these were Black and Latinx people. And so I just thought it was like kind of a shame that people were like, oh, the only time, folks can get seen as like when they're gay. And it's like, this was like everybody got hurt here. This was like a missed opportunity for like unity and to like fight back against violence. But again, people separate themselves according to, their orientation.
I mean, we're forced to do that if it's the liberal agenda, right? Like you said, and you said for a long time, we just don't really have a true left in this country. So if you go back pre-civil rights to women's suffrage as well as civil rights and combine the two, right? You got women forced to stand against women. Because
right.
From a political perspective, they're not going to give all of us a concession. They're not going to give gay women or lesbians a concession and give women in the women's suffragette movement a concession. Like, they're not going to do both. And we have these black women over here in the civil rights, right? Like, you understand what I'm saying?
I do, like, but I do, but I don't. I do, well, but I don't.
What I'm saying is this caused the division. Like, there was a real division because of that. Like, you either were forced to choose. While homosexuals did stand with black people, not in the forces that they stood with each other, and lesbian women laid down lesbian rights for women's rights.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Like, these things actually happen. I've talked to women who came from that era who have told me as much.
Okay.
Like, they actually happened because it was like, it's a patriarchal society. We got all types of oppression. The country is not going to change overnight, and most of the changes that came as far as equal rights came in steps.
I see.
You understand what I'm saying?
So you're
like,
saying
they were literally
we were forced to say you're going to have to wait while this other group gets theirs now.
Yes. And people in leadership of these groups recognize that. Well, it's like, who are you going to be with?
That's going to cause a lot of division. That's very
yeah. We gotta there's no way this society is going to just wave its hand and say, okay,
Well, I think,
everything change. You know what I mean?
yeah, I think one thing we have to do is recognize where we are in history and say we want it all, right? I mean, you remember when MLK said, basically oppression against one group is oppression against us all. I think we got to
Yep.
realize we're not at that point in history where one group has to wait for another group. Like, I think we need to fight for each other, and like
I'm with you.
we all
We need to
need
get
liberty.
rid of. I had this conversation with you the other day, and I said we need to recognize that equality is equality, and we need to put it all under one banner and forget this identity politic that they keep throwing on us. These pop-up groups that, and that's the problem with liberals, right? Each group has a different agenda. The agenda should just be equality. Period.
Well,
If you're
what
coming,
do you what do you mean by that? What are the different agendas that you see each group having?
so you have the LGBT community, which has a specific agenda. They will speak
That's
publicly, and
wait
this is
wait a
what I
minute.
mean by
Wait a minute. That's not one group. Those
I
are
know,
but
I
that's
know.
but that's a very important distinction because those groups, even to this day, are are not necessarily unified, and certainly when you
I
go
was about
back,
to break that down.
well, certainly
I
when
was
you go
about to
back, they were not unified.
I was about to break that down. I literally
Especially
was
the
about to get
T,
into that.
especially when you get into the T of the LGBT.
Hmm.
So maybe
Many of them are homosexual and racist.
I wasn't even. That's not even what I'm talking about, though.
Oh, I
I'm
know.
saying, I'm saying within that group, they're not unified.
Right. But
So
okay. So
maybe
when
we
you
need
look
to
at
learn from
well,
them.
when you look at liberal politics, though, right? They break down into demographic groups. While there is infighting between the groups, like many blacks aren't unified, but they still when they this label that is placed on us, known as identity politics, categorizes us into blacks, LGBTQ, college educated white women, so on and so forth.
Mhm.
It doesn't say that these groups are unified, which speaks to exactly what I'm saying. Within each other, they're not unified, and they have a specific agenda that, for the purposes of each group, supersedes the agenda of say the black people.
So
Or
what is the agenda of LGBT folks?
as it stands, the overarching theme. Now there may be counter agendas. We'll use the term that keeps popping up in our conversation because it's definitely sees the player. The consensus agenda is just equality.
Okay.
The consensus agenda.
Okay.
Marrying freely, all of these things that come under that. There may be countering agendas within the group. There may be things like, trans people wanting, access to, things that people discriminate against them. You understand what I'm saying? These may be other agendas, but the consensus theme starts with equality, which seems to be the consensus theme for every one of these groups.
Okay.
The problem is their idea of equality supersedes the other group for them. Black people, as we just had this conversation, black people's feelings on it certainly supersede anyone who's in the gay community,
Well,
LGBTQ community.
okay. Well, let's break it down, right? So, I mean, one group can marry freely, another group cannot. So,
Mm-hmm.
is someone in the LGBT community superseding black folks by wanting to marry? Obviously not, right?
No, 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 no. You're right. They aren't superseding black folks by wanting to marry. What I'm saying is that the fact that they can't makes their issue in their mind, and rightfully so, more important than the issue of the black group. And then the black group feels that their issue is more important than that of the gay.
I
In the
don't.
college, say
I
again.
don't know that that's. Well, here's the thing though, because I mean, a lot of gay people are black, so that would be um, this would be a discrepancy in the argument.
It is a discrepancy, but we can't discount the fact that most the consensus is that black people discriminate against gay people, to include black gay people.
Okay, that's true, but I guess what I'm questioning is you're saying that folks in the LGBT community are putting their issues ahead of black people's, and I'm asking how so.
Well, okay, what I mean is, in the sense that, and this is the reason why I feel like Donald Trump is in office.
Okay.
Because I think the Liberal Party is comprised of identity groups with their own agendas. And as such, we're not united.
Okay.
Like, black people aren't coming to the aid of the LGBTQ community.
Right.
They're not at the rallies. They're not saying, yes, we want rights for these people when they're marching for their rights, or when a bill goes, when in California, Prop 18 or I can't remember the prop, when black people show up with 85% vote against it.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
No.
That's what I mean. When black people criticize Barack Obama for, quote, doing more for gays, unquote, than he did for black people.
I got you.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, these when white college educated white women talk about liberal politics, like it's this euphoric conversation where their head is in a cloud and they're at a hippie party, but they're talk heavy and action weak. They're oblivious to the fact that driving while black exists.
Right.
They're just oblivious because it doesn't affect their life.
Sure.
You understand what I'm saying?
Or
they're married to liberal working class white men, and they may know someone who's gay.
Or when folks turn up against a lot of the violence that's happened against black people, and they shut down bridges or disturb folks' lunches, they say this is too much. Right? They pull the thing that MLK spoke against, saying that you're against our methods, and you're basically saying we're with you, but we're against your methods, right?
No, yeah. Go on.
Well, no, I mean, that was just my point. It's just that, like, everyone's with you until you start turning up and you're like, okay, Black Lives Matter is shutting down this bridge. We're interrupting, well-to-do people's lunches and brunches, holding up signs and disrupting, dinner with our message. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's not the way you go about fighting for your freedom. Now you're just upsetting people, right?
Right.
It's easy to say you're with someone until all of a sudden your convenience is interrupted. But it is the society we
that's why I use the term, talk heavy, action weak.
Yeah.
Like, it in a lot of cases it's good to say certain things, right? Mm-hmm. Until you're inconvenienced.
Yeah.
When the action inconveniences you, which brings me to my initial point, which was, if we looked at equality as one thing, forget our individual ideas, forget it. Yeah, I'm black, but I'm gonna show up at that rally with those LGBTQ people.
Yeah.
I'm gonna support them and I'm gonna vote for them. And I'm gonna count on them being there for me. And when those women get oppressed, here I come.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm coming is because this is an issue of equality. And we want it now across the boards.
Sure.
When we mentioned what Martin Luther King talked about, Martin Luther King still fell into the cycle, right? Like, he was behind the women suffragette.
Mm-hmm.
He had to wait his turn.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like, he had to wait.
Yeah.
And the
Well,
you
he
know
also,
the LGBTQ community had to wait even longer.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say, he had people in his cipher. He had, forgot if his name was Bernard or something. I've talked about him before, but one of the major players in the civil rights movement was a gay black man. But he was, proud of who he was, but we don't hear too much about him in the civil rights
Mm,
movement. You have to like know
mm,
who he is to figure it out. So it's kind
mm,
of like they kind of like downplay that aspect.
mm. Yeah, and again, and that speaks to that. Like, homosexuals, LGBTQ community had to wait their turn. Like they're still, you know what I mean? And it's piecemeal, right? It's not it's not something that's, we're not just saying, okay, we're gonna
Yeah,
make a concession.
yeah, I agree with you. We need to stand up and fight together, for sure. I think there was wasn't there a group called the Equality Party at one point? Was that a party? Does that sound familiar?
I don't know. That would be out of my scope.
Okay,
I don't know enough to say yes or no.
okay.
I just don't know. So I'll say I don't know.
You know,
That
the group that I work for, this is what we're attempting to build right now, is like a multiracial feminist party, um, that like fights for equality for everyone, and we're
hmm
attempting to build power from the ground up. And we're attempting to do it in such a way that we're doing multiple things. Some things that we've already done throughout the years, like focused on putting good people in office who are like everyday folks, like the activists, the teachers, and the everyday real folks in office who represent what we're talking about. And then focus on passing good laws to protect everyone. But the third piece is what we're really looking to build now, is to just like gather a bunch of people and mobilize people around these issues. So throughout the year, if there are bad players or bad politicians who aren't acting right, we can get everyone to make them act right. Like get thousands of people to pick up phones and like demand action at the same time, or get like tens of thousands of people to vote against bad actors or bad politicians, or keep our eye on what's going on in our communities. So that's what we're looking to build, is like a true like movement, like a true party that actually has like a convention every year, and has like participates in party activities, and like watches what's going on, and tries to like build the type of community they want. So that's like what we're attempting to do right now.
what is the party called?
It's a Working Families Party.
Hmm.
That's the party I work for. There's an assembly coming up really soon. I'll send you a link so you can check it out.
Working Families Party.
Yeah, yeah, it's the
That's
party that
awesome.
I work for.
Do you have people in office?
Yes, we do.
Really?
Yep, we have people in office, and then we also like endorse. We also like cross endorse if someone, if we think someone's great, we'll endorse them, saying like this is a person that has our stamp of approval.
And it's so it's not democratic.
No, no, we're not Democrats. We're not Republicans. Though, I mean, we often do endorse Democrats, but it's not based on that. It's based on like actions or policy.
Oh, okay. How big is it?
We have we have like tens of thousands of members throughout the country
Oh wow. How long has it been around?
since 19. I want to say shit. Is it 1991? Since the early. Damn, no, like 1998. It's been around since 98.
Oh wow. Okay.
Whenever you go to vote, you'll see us. It's like I think now we're like row E or something. So you'll see Democrats, Republicans, Independent, and then like maybe like conservatives, and then you'll see Working Families Party, and then you'll see Green Party and like whatever else is out there.
Hmm. I didn't know it was that deep.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's like when I when I was on that thread the other day, and the guy was saying, "Oh, you're a Democrat this or Democrat that," and I was like, I actually work for a third party. That's what I was talking about.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Huh. I didn't know that.
Yeah, before I said "f you" and the thread was deleted.
Yeah, I can't let people get the idea that they can just be on there arguing with each other.
No, it makes sense, and like
So
I
I had
said,
to.
I felt foolish for allowing myself. Like the moment I responded to his first comment, it was already too late, right? Because that was already the bait, and I was already like reeled in. Because it was just a joke,
Mm.
it was just like I thought it was funny because when I read that little meme or whatever, I'm like, where are they going with this? And then she said, "Oh, I'm being manipulated by a billionaire, blah blah blah," and it's Robin, from Batman and Robin. I thought that was funny, like it made sense. But then
Yeah,
he
yeah,
started going in on his political stuff, and so the moment you get on your defense, what I should have done, see, when I'm smart, like I just either play dumb and I troll people, or I just like say something funny and just diffuse it with humor and make other people look like the bugged out ones. I could have just said something like, I don't, last time I checked, like Batman wasn't very political. He's just a vigilante, but you know, if you're down with the vigilante party, that's cool. You know what I mean?
bruh. Have you seen this article that's going around now? Representative Ocasio Cortez, Americans should just say no to going back to work after reopening society.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, you know how I feel about AOC, right?
yeah. We had a show on her.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean she's dope. She's the real deal. She's the real deal. I wonder what her future holds. I wonder what she's gonna do. I mean, I saw some article. I didn't really open it, but there was some article saying that there were rumors that she was maybe eyeing the Senate or something like that, which makes sense if you're really gonna like take the path. That makes sense. But I'm on
Where
some.
is she at right now? Like, what is she doing
Oh,
right
she's a
now?
representative. She's a congressperson. She's a
for
representative.
New for New York?
Yeah, the Bronx, the boogie down.
So you think she's going to run for Senate?
Oh, I don't think so. This article said that there were rumors that she was going to. But I mean, I think that kind of thing makes sense because usually, you climb up the ladder. And that's what studious people do who want to like learn more, get more experience, and like, so you can be like, boom, you've got a better chance of winning this because you were at this level. Now you got a better chance at winning that. You know what I mean? So but like I said, hey, maybe we can throw out those old rules, and maybe quote unquote people on the left can start playing by different rules, and saying let's mobilize the person who has the most energy and the most love behind them, and who is smart and has a good amount of experience. Like maybe they don't have to have all this other experience. But maybe that's wrong too. Maybe that's just trying to fight back against the other side using their rules. Maybe there's an in between. I mean, to be honest, when Obama won, I was kind of surprised. Like it didn't sound like to me he had a crazy amount of experience, but I mean, I wasn't super, I wasn't super knowledgeable back then, but I think Obama, what did he have, like 6 years of experience in the Senate or something? So I was a little bit surprised that was enough, but then you add that to all of his activist experience, and he got the job done. Um, but yeah, I guess we don't want to fall into doing what the other side does, because then you have people in there who aren't as experienced as they need to be, and even if you think they're dope, that's like sometimes you need a lot of experience to deal with the amount of stuff you're going to deal with as a president.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah,
the only thing about not going back to work is like the employment office isn't really able to handle all of this, and how are people going to eat unless
the
she's on some.
unemployment office.
What's that?
The unemployment office.
Oh yeah, I keep slipping. See, these are the kind of slips that when they catch AOC doing, they make fun of her for. I've
Mhm.
watched some of these videos again, and I see like where I made these kind of slips or whatever. Yeah, the unemployment, the unemployment office.
I'm like the employment office. You mean work?
I'm here for employment. Hey, maybe that's what we need is an employment office.
Yeah, I think they call them like temporary agencies,
Oh man, I've worked for some of those.
and
Yeah,
those
gotta do
trucks
what you
that
gotta
pick up
do.
Mexicans in California.
Yeah, no, I've waited in line to be grabbed for work before. That's for sure.
Oh, I've done it. I've done it.
I remember. I
I've,
think the worst thing I was doing was I was working in some factory, and I just remember these little round things we were grabbing started looking shiny after a while, and I was like, let me stop looking at them before I, fall back or fall out or something, because I'm like mesmerized
hmm,
by these things, just
hmm.
like going down the conveyor belt over and over.
Yeah, yeah. So now you're saying that the unemployment. Well, I mean, yeah. So
The
here's the
unemployment
question.
office is like,
Here's the question. If
yeah,
people go back to work, right?
yeah.
Do the unemployment office that haven't paid the people who were off work, are they still on the hook for that?
Well, I guess my question is like, look, I don't want people going back to work getting sick. I mean, I'm all for people not going back to work. I'm just saying realistically, a if your work reopens because your governor has said it's okay to reopen and you don't go back, can they say, hey, this person is refusing work, and can they kick you off of unemployment? Or B, can they fire you and say this person's not coming back to work? Our job is open again. I'm just looking at the realities of being a working class person. Now, if you got money like that, or if you got a place that's gonna, honor your paid family leave or whatever, not paid family leave, but honor your like leave or whatever, maybe that's something different. I don't know. Maybe people can invoke sick leave or what are the different kind of leaves? I should know this one. Besides paid family leave, um, what are the different kind of leaves that people might be able to use? I'm just thinking like it might not be that easy for people, but she understands working class politics, so I'm sure she thought about this when she said it. I should look at the article. Did you read it?
It was just a sound. It was just a quote.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't a real article. It was just a quote.
Oh, okay.
And I think that, Mike, I'm going to say some vastly conspiratorial stuff here,
Uh,
but I think
do
that's
you
just
want me
how
to
it
pause the
works.
recording?
No, I don't care. I think that's how this works. I think what happens is, in order to get drastic change,
Uh-huh.
you have to let things happen to people.
Okay.
And it sucks and you regret it. But, you know, when those things happen to people, Martin Luther King had to let people get beat up in
Right.
public and had to let people see black people getting beat up.
Right.
Gandhi had to let people see people getting beat
Yeah.
with their hands to their sides.
Hey, can we do a little segue real quick?
Yeah.
What do you think when you like bring up Gandhi and people are like, "Oh, Gandhi was a racist"? What do you think about that?
I mean, in what context are they calling him a racist? Because I never heard that.
Oh, you should look into that. He's got some interesting things to say about black people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I mean, he still was like a huge influence in like civil actions and civil disobedience and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like it's messed up, but you still can't discredit like what he did, even though you can be like, don't
So
like him in that sense.
we had this conversation before, right? Earlier. And I said you can't let your critical thinking palette be obstructed by racist or racial concepts.
Right, right, right. No, it's true. Because then everyone's out the window, right?
Yeah.
Because then people start
Yeah.
saying, "Oh
I
well,
don't
all the forefathers they were racist. Oh, everyone was racist." Like you
right.
can't.
I can't even live in America, which is largely I'm able to live the way that I am because this country was founded on racism.
Right.
It just was.
Yeah.
And now I'm able to live a certain way. I don't agree with that racism,
Mm-hmm.
but if I allow my critical thinking palette to be stunted by it, then I'd have to leave. I'd have to just
Which
pack up and leave.
would you though?
Would I pack up and leave?
No, no, no. I mean, would you have to leave, or would you have to say, I'm gonna fight for what's owed to me"?
Well, what I mean is I can't take advantage of any commercial anything, right? Can't go to supermarkets. I can't eat meat. I can't do anything that probably exists because it got its wealth from slavery.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? I can't use telephones. I can't drive a car.
Yeah, but shouldn't you? But shouldn't you, if anyone, be able to use this stuff because it was your people who built this country?
Right. But if that's because I'm critically thinking.
Okay.
But if I'm not and I allow if I really go all in and I allow my critical thinking palette to be stunted by racism, then the extreme is I can't take advantage of anything that were the fruits of that tree.
Oh, I see. I see. I got you.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm critically thinking and I'm like, well, and now we take it back to Gandhi, right? So if I'm critically thinking, I don't have to agree with everything that you thought in order to agree with what you did in regards to civil disobedience with those people.
Okay.
Like, I don't have to agree with everything that you thought. I'm not going to agree with everything every black leader says. I didn't agree with everything Barack Obama did. I supported him as my president. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
Sure.
If I limit myself, it's, okay, so you said some racist things. Maybe you were racist. Maybe if given an opportunity, you would have acted on it. I don't have any evidence of you treating me differently.
Right.
Like, I don't have any evidence of this. And that still does not discount. I'm one of the people, and I think I'm rare in those regards, where I don't evaluate and make people the sum total of individual actions. We had this debate before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to make you the sum total. Like, there are a bunch of actions. It doesn't take away to your point that you are this thing, but it doesn't make you only this thing. You understand what I'm saying? Like, if I'm hanging from a cliff and I know you to be racist and you reach down to pull me up, should I not take your hand?
Right. Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now not only are you the racist, you're the racist who saved my life. You're not just the racist. I don't discount that you're racist, right?
Right.
But you're not just the racist. You also become another thing.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
You know, some years ago, I was at the Allentown Art Festival.
Okay.
Guy walks up to me and we were having a conversation, semi-political. He was part of like this Leninist Marxist movement, right?
Okay.
And he gave me a pamphlet. And as soon as I saw the pamphlet and I saw it, he's like, I know what you're thinking. And he said, let me ask you a question. And of course, I wasn't about to buy into this Leninist Marxist stuff. But he asked me a good question. He said, because we disagree on some things, does that mean we cannot conversate or come together on the things we do agree on?
Right.
And at the time, I'm like, oh, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't move me to want to, you know what I'm saying, participate in what they were doing or anything like that. But I thought it was a very good question. It's something that I thought about, you know, for years after. I thought about that question, like, oh, that is critically thinking, right? That's literally a part of critically thinking. Like, wait a minute, I can't be stunted because of what I disagree on.
So they're gonna activate you pretty soon. It sounds like he planted the Leninist Marxist seeds, and pretty soon, like, and you're a sleeper agent, and you know, pretty soon you're gonna be activated.
They're gonna turn me on.
Yeah, you're gonna be doing some things.
I'm just saying, so that's what I think about Gandhi being a racist. I think that I'm not going to make you the sum total of the thing that I disagree with, that characteristic about you that I don't agree with.
Sure. All right, cool. That was just a little segue. I just wanted to hear what you had to say on that. So where were we headed before that?
So
segue?
with AOC, I wouldn't be surprised if it is her thought, like, man, if they end this lockdown and I get people not to go to work and all these people lose jobs, like, what are the scenarios here? If enough people don't go to work, companies got to step in, right? And say, hey, we need to do something because we can't stay open. Or people lose jobs, people fill in those gaps, and people get upset. They're hungry, they're sick, people are dying, they're maybe possibly rioting, there's civil unrest. From a leadership perspective, what, if any, are the benefits of this? Yes, there's some negatives. We know the negatives. What, if any, are the benefits, and are those benefits worth the negatives?
I gotta say, I mean, that is quite the picture that you have painted, but I gotta say, there's no way that that AOC is that diabolical.
I mean, is Martin Luther King that diabolical?
Well, I mean, you're talking about people who agreed to march with him and knew what they were in for, and now you're talking about AOC.
Only the leadership knew what they were in for.
So you're telling me all these people that marched did not know that they were going to get beat up by the police?
They didn't know that they were marching for, contrary to the same agenda with Gandhi. With Gandhi, they knew their intent was to walk directly into the path of the police way, knowing that they were going to get beat. That was the sole purpose of it. With the civil rights movement, these people were marching for a reason, and leadership intended for them to get beat up. Yes, they knew we were going to come, but that they thought that they were marching for something else. You're not going to tell black people, let's go get beat up.
Well, I mean, you might tell them, hey, listen, because like these are. I mean,
They literally looked for places where the cops were dumb enough to beat black people.
Here's what I was gonna say is like I started to study like these movements, uh, not like these movements specifically, even though I know some about them, but like movements in general, like these kind of activist movements. There's different roles that they have that they fill, and when
Mm-hmm.
you go to look for the role that you're going to fill, they'll ask you like, so are you willing to get arrested? Are you willing to blah blah blah? And depending on what you say, you're going to fill a certain role. So like, I don't know, they might have asked people.
They definitely had role players during the civil rights movement, but during those marches that they called on public sentiment to rally people, because the goal wasn't really to get people beat up, right? Like the goal, the intellectual goal, if we're critically thinking of these marches, was to cripple economy.
Okay.
Under the guise that we're not telling the people this, we're not saying to the masses we're going to cripple their economy. That's not the message we're disseminating, even though in effect that's what you're doing when you put 1,000 people together and you walk down a highway in 1960s, the South in 1960s, when you tell everyone not to take the bus. Like you're literally targeting the plan on paper. In retrospect, this is how we hit the money, because that is what's going to make them change the law.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, this is what people are saying.
And this is how we do it.
This is what people are saying now. Is this is our problem? Is we're not changing things nowadays, and we're not hitting the money.
Well, we don't even understand what civil disobedience is in the 21st century. What true civil disobedience is. We don't even get it. Like true civil disobedience says, I watched them kids at that college during the Occupy movement when they got arrested and tear gassed.
Okay.
And I'm like, my thought process is, because I was ready for action. At no point in time in my life had I been more ready for action.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, what are they going to do next? They have to show up tomorrow, because this is true civil disobedience. They have to show up tomorrow and get beat and tear gassed and arrested again. And if that happens, I'll be there. I'll be there the next day. They ain't come back. They got tear gassed and was like, yeah, they tear gassed us and told us we couldn't come back, and didn't come back. Because you don't know what civil disobedience is.
Right.
By definition, you don't know what civil disobedience is. It's this new age civil disobedience. And in all cases, during the Occupy movement, every person who got arrested stood on the news when they got out of jail and was like, they told me I couldn't go back. And guess what they did not do? They did not go back. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. This is this new age, babyfied, wussified civil disobedience. Oh, they arrested me. Huh? You're supposed to get arrested. You might even get beat up, and you just let it happen, and you come back.
Well, I know people who. Well, that's interesting, because I know people who got like arrested and Occupy, and it kind of launched their like activist career. But I don't know. I don't know the specifics about like going back afterwards, or what the plan was afterwards, or any of that stuff.
This is true civil disobedience. True civil disobedience. You can look it up. You can Google it. You expect to be arrested.
Yeah, definitely.
They even teach you how to be arrested.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm surprised that. Yeah, I'm surprised that you were saying that people were not expecting to get beat up.
They were, but what I'm saying is the sentiment wasn't, hey guys, let's go get beat up.
Oh yeah.
Let's go march and get beat up. In their mind, as we get euphoric, as we're want to get, especially when we're passionate about a political point, I'm positive they did not realize how serious it was going to be, because especially on that first march, they hadn't gotten beat up for marching. No one had came out with hoses and started tear gassing them.
Right.
It was unprecedented. It just hadn't happened. They were looking for something like that to happen. It hadn't happened.
Right.
It wasn't like there was just people marching all the time and there was a history of people getting beat up and tear gas for marching. They set the precedent.
Sure.
You see what I'm saying? Like we didn't have it until they started setting that precedent. So then, it's not like they had it in their heads that, well, how do I know I'm really going to get beat up? Like, why would they beat up a few thousand people or a few hundred? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Until it actually happens. Until we're walking down the street and we see the entire police force from the county. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, we're getting tear gassed. And they're beating women and children. I'm sure leadership was hoping that these cops were dumb enough to do that. I'm throwing these people to the wolves for their greater good. They think it's about a march, and this is about economics.
Well, no, see, this is where I have to disagree with you again. I mean, this stuff was like planned, and like the people. I mean, I've read about the people who entered these marches and these young, like the SNCC kids, and people who entered this stuff. Like, these people were smart. I mean, I don't think they just thought like, oh, a march is going to change things.
Hold on, Mike, because you're not wrong. You're just not really thinking on it in a big picture sense. So they were smart. Those who were in leadership and who were associated with leadership and those who were called to positions at the lowest position, which would be organizational, right? Those would be the lowest positions. Those who were at the very least not fully in the know, but were called to just organize, right? But when you have 1,000 people, right?
Yeah.
That you're going to lead in your mic.
Right.
You're going to tell everybody in all one of them 1,000 people is going to be privy to every detail of all the information?
No, not privy to every detail, but that's a pretty big detail.
Well, yeah. And that's a detail that's going to cause a lot of people to be like, hey, we're talking about a situation at the time. We're not talking like, think about it. During that time period, our culture was divided. It wasn't like every black person in America supported Martin Luther King.
Oh, no.
Because they didn't.
Agree. I totally agree.
So we're talking about a divided culture, and we're talking about real people who have families and kids and like they real human beings. How many people, if they really know that detail, are going to be like, yeah?
Well, it depends on
good luck to you.
Depends on how pissed off you are and how fed up you are, I guess. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, you got to be pissed off enough to let your kid get beat and your wife get beat and know it's going to happen.
I mean, you might say they're beating us anyway and they're killing us. So what's the difference? We might as well fight.
Yeah. Tell that to a woman who has to watch her kid get beat. Think about this, Mike.
No, but this is the thing is I have thought about it because I'm asking myself, what are we doing now? And are we doing enough? So I'm asking myself now, what is it going to, right? That's where this conversation started. What is it going to take for us to do enough to turn shit around? Now,
that's why I posited what I posited about Cortez. And I'm not saying she's that diabolical, but I'm not going to say she's not. And the reason why is because there's a phrase I like to use. They call it the tyrannical majority, right? Well, how you get people to march or manage people, I have my own opinion. I don't believe in a tyrannical majority. I believe in a tyrannical minority hidden in the guise of a majority, because that's how you control people. This is art of war. Managing many is a question of strategy. This is the art of war.
Okay.
And many are always managed by the few. But to do it's strategy, and it definitely, you have to control the dissemination of information. You have to do exactly what Martin Luther King did, spark morale, for sure. You have to play on sentiment to spark morale. These are manipulative tactics, even though they worked and they were benevolent, they're manipulative. This is how you control the many.
Okay.
You have to play on sentiment. You have to give them something that sparks them, that makes them think outside of themselves, that makes them want to give themselves to the whole.
Okay.
That they stop seeing themselves as the individual. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the whole tyrannical minority hidden in the guise of majority is not out of war, by the way. This is just another political quote that I've picked up over the years. That there isn't really a tyrannical majority.
What do you mean by,
say again?
What do you mean by tyrannical minority hidden in the guise of a majority?
So you know the term tyrannical majority.
Yeah.
So the trick is that the majority being tyrannical is a guise, is a cloak, is subterfuge to where by which the minority that are actually the tyrannical party can hide under.
Okay.
And they push the buttons to cause those people who put out those extreme narratives that everybody runs with.
Okay.
This minority that causes the majority to seem to be ugly because they're running with the narrative from the minority. Their buttons are being pushed by this minority who is guiding them, and they're hiding under the guise of, oh, that crowd over there, they're so tyrannical. Well, their buttons were just really pushed by 3 people in that crowd. Right. You understand what I'm saying? This tyrannical minority who are pulling the strings, but making it look like, because, and not just making it look like, hiding under the guise of a majority that is now tyrannical due to our machinations and our manipulations and our string pulling. And you don't even see us because you see the crowd. That's manipulation of people. That's how America works, right? That's how you convince America that the people run the government, we the people, but yet the people are always arguing over what's happening to them politically as a result of politics, because a few control the many. But the many are convinced that the government is run by we the people, but the few understand that 100 heads can't control 100 people in the room. They can't all be bosses. They can't all be the boss. We're going to have 100 different thought processes, 100 different ideas, 100 different positions. Some of them may meet up and some may not. They can't all be the boss. Even in the smallest leadership environments, there's still a hierarchy. There's still a chain of command. You understand what I'm saying? Even in the smallest circles, you put 10 people in leadership in a room and somebody is in charge.
Right.
And you'll find that it's a cascade effect or a ripple effect. You'll find that in every facet where you have a majority, the minority are in charge and there is a chain of command.
Okay.
And the minority is convinced that you're in charge because you put us here for you. We're here for you. You put us here for you. We're going to let you choose who should be. And this was your decision. So we're here operating in your interests. We the people. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These are things that this is a model that we see throughout our history. I don't think that Martin Luther King was ignorant of that model, nor Gandhi was ignorant of this model, nor any of the people in leadership who are smart enough to get to a certain perspective. If they're ignorant of that model, they are made aware of it by people around them. Oftentimes, leaders don't know that they're going to lead because tyrannical minority type people be like, it should be you, and I'm gonna put my resources behind you, and we're gonna support you. And they're like, oh yeah, you're right. That seems right. It all makes sense to me. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mind you, I'm just tossing stuff out there because I'm just critically thinking, and it doesn't mean I'm correct. I'm just critically thinking, and I'm not taking these things off the table because I think sometimes people can be so passionate that, yes, there are people, that Messiah complex, right? I put myself I'm in a certain position and I really want to do the right thing, and I may have to put people in harm's way for their own good, for the greater good.
Right.
Then they're faced with that decision and they make a choice. And in a lot of cases, it's like my life's work. Do I walk away or do I make this choice? I've been spending my whole life for this moment. Maybe it's something I hang my head at night over. You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
And wonder, did I do the right thing? But if it results in, look at how the slaves were free. They were not going to say we were equal. They did the wrong thing in order to achieve the right thing. They stood before that Congress and was like, no, I'm not saying they're equal. That's what they did. Because they knew if they said otherwise, we would still be slaves.
Wait, who said that?
The guy, the big advocator. I don't know why I can't think of his name. Not Lincoln. The guy, the attorney, who was advocating for the legalization of slavery.
Okay.
And was petitioning for Congress to vote. And they kept putting the question to him. And he denied that that's what he was saying.
Okay.
He denied it. Because he knew, had he said yes, slavery would not have been abolished. They wouldn't have voted. So he denied it. In order to achieve what he thought was going to be the right outcome, the abolition of slavery. Right. But then it took another 100 years for us to be equal. Because you should have stuck to your guns and came back another day and argued again. And maybe we would have been in slavery longer. But maybe as a result, we might not have dealt with what we dealt with for the next 100 years. See what I'm saying? Tree was poisoned.
Well, that's
me and my friend Josh have this same conversation, and Josh is like, he'll tell you he did what he had to do to make sure we came up on the right side of history. And I'm like, yeah, Josh, but look at could the fruits from that tree that we saw for the last 100 years have been the result of him doing what he had to do to come up on the right side of history? Because Josh concedes, yeah, he lied. He did not say what was true in order to achieve a goal.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know that because of that, we went through Jim Crow. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we went through a lot of things. I don't know that things may not have been different.
Right. So that's,
I'm not saying they would be.
Right. That's yeah. We passed the law saying that people are going to be free from slavery, but that doesn't change the hearts of men. That law. It doesn't. I felt like if you stuck to your argument, it keeps it on the table, and I don't know how that affects legislation going forward.
if we're freed predicated on the fact that we are all equal, then does Jim Crow exist?
Right.
Do black people get more power when they have to take something to court?
Right.
I'm not saying it changes the hearts of people, but I mean, do laws begin to reflect and uphold this decision based upon this premise?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because what on the other premise, I mean, they ain't even free us right away. We definitely wasn't gonna have our day in court ever whenever we were done agreed. You know what I'm saying? Like we wasn't winning. You're conning us out of our prop, all of that. You're not even giving us an opportunity to get put in position, because you talk about it yourself. Where is the black wealth that started to prop up after slavery? Where is it now? They took it from us. They conned us out of it coming into the 20th century. And laws wasn't helping us. That's all. That's
a lot of it. A lot of it wasn't conned. A lot of it was straight bombed. We were straight bombed.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And then I guess the last con would be the, what was that? The 2000 and what was that? 2006 when was that the financial crisis? 2005.
Yeah, mid 2000s.
Yeah.
Mid 2000s.
Yeah, I remember because I had just gotten my first 401k.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember seeing the numbers go up. And then I remember being yeah, it's pretty much, 401k is pretty much done. You're back at zero again.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, they conned everyone, right?
Yeah.
The middle class, black wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone lost.
I told you about those crazy numbers, right? I told you about how much wealth we lost.
You did. I don't remember the numbers.
I mean, we pretty much lost at least 40% of all the accumulated wealth that we had accumulated since emancipation. Black people.
Yeah.
And then Latinx people, I think, were even worse. I think they lost about 50% of everything they had accumulated.
Yeah. Yeah. See? A con for real, right?
Yeah.
A con for real. Funny how all the people in the know, though, seem to pull their money out of their, remember Exxon?
Mm-hmm.
And all the people in the know got phone calls.
Right.
They protected themselves. And I get it. I understand why they got phone calls. It wasn't because these people were good old boys and were racist. It's because these are people who will kill us. They got money and we'll just start disappearing.
Wait, why would we disappear?
If we don't call these people up and let them know that this whole thing is about to crash and burn, pull out. Think about it. People died after Exxon.
Oh, I see.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm messing here's the list. Call these people. Call them. Because if not, they got the power to
you talking about
make
Enron? You talking about
Enron?
Enron?
Yeah, Enron, yeah. They got the power to make people disappear. Am I talking conspiracy? Probably. Did people die? Absolutely. Wasn't even a secret. People died. One dude killed himself. All of that.
Yeah.
People die. Real talk. You playing with a different type of power now. Here's the list. Call these people. Yeah, they all pulled their money. Yeah, they all got tipped. Take us to court. What you take from us at court ain't gonna scratch the surface on what we have. That's what it is. Go ahead and do a class action suit or whatever it is you're gonna do. In the meantime, they got that call, and it'll happen every time, and I understand why. And I don't think it has anything to do. I mean, obviously you screwing the lower guy, but I don't think that's your intent when you call them people and tell them to pull their money out. It's because these people got the type of money, man. Idiot
Well,
from
no,
Treyway.
it's all about money. I mean, these people have paid to make sure they know when shit's going down.
Yeah,
it's totally illegal, but they're gonna do it and they're gonna make their money, and then they'll sacrifice a few people, and everyone will say, "Hey, look at that guy! He made money while the rest of us got screwed. Get him!" And then the rest of them will get away with it.
Yep. And because I'm paying you, you better. If I pay you and you don't make sure I know, what you think is going to happen to you? You know how this works. You know where we come from.
There's this great TV show called Succession that I watched. That's all about like this super powerful, super wealthy family, and it's all like relevant.
Yeah. You know where we come from. We come from the hood. You know how it works. Y'all in upper level, y'all, it's the same story. Y'all just call it white collar crime. I used to tell my wife that when she started working in a certain world, and she was like, "It's just not like that." I'm like, "Oh, so why does the term corporate espionage exist?" It exists because they play the same games. It's just white collar. Mm-hmm. They're playing the same games as people at war with other countries. Corporate espionage. Espionage. She's like, "Oh." I'm like, think about that. Like, it's the same. You just a criminal with a suit and a tie and no record. That don't mean people don't die. People don't disappear. Things don't happen to people. The one dude from Treyway, he used to get on Instagram when he was with the rapper 6ix9ine, and they would have beef, and he would say things like, "Yeah, we got that real money now. We got the type of money where we don't have to fight." Come on, man. You know what that means. You know what that means, bruh. You know what that means. He's new money. You don't think old money knew that a long time ago? Like, they know. They know. That's all I'm saying. They know. There's that. Hold on just a second.
Everyone's doing what they can to get through these times. And so are we. Mercedes-Benz is making vehicle maintenance and buying needs as safe and seamless as possible. Many dealers offer options such as pickup delivery and at-home service, online shopping, and home delivery, as well as special finance arrangements. Because we understand buying and servicing your vehicle shouldn't be a challenge in these already challenging times. Get 0% APR financing up to 36 months on most models and 90-day first payment deferral on every model.
The 2020 NFL Draft is presented by Lowe's, the official home improvement sponsor of the NFL, and in part by Burger King. Get 8 original chicken nuggets for just $1 only.
All right. I'm sorry. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on it, man. I don't put anything past anyone. I don't put it past. I'm not gonna sit here and say on air that I think she's diabolical. Right. But I'm also not gonna sit here and say that I think she's above what is inherently a part of the human condition.
Sure.
And that people won't be around her that are. And I think leadership, I think once you get to a certain level of leadership in politics, and I'm not talking surface level, I mean like when you're in the know, in quotations,
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to make some moral decisions and you understand like sacrifices have to be made, that victories don't come without casualties, that it's just not, I'm not just going to be able to talk a good game, because history does not dictate that any person who got real change could just talk a good game and there were no casualties from the battle. Because if you talk a real good game, you're going to have to fight. You're going to have to fight. And it's going to be some casualties. And history shows that. In every case, there are casualties. We're talking real change, not surface level change. Real change that resonates from every day forward. It's a battle you got to fight. And there are going to be casualties. And at some point, if she's that person, if she's that chick that really wants to fight, she wants to put her money where her mouth is, well, she's gonna come to a point in her walk where she realizes this is a war, and it's a real war, and there will be casualties. And she's gonna have to choose whether she's going to proceed or fall back. That I believe to be true. What that actually means and how it plays out, I'm not going to even begin to speculate on. I already did that earlier. I painted a scenario. You understand what I'm saying? But I'm not really speculating on it. I just believe that if she really, we're not talking Barack Obama. He didn't fight any battles.
Right. Hold up just for 1 second.
Daniel, we've seen a quarterback and we've seen an offensive tackle protect that quarterback. Where do you think Miami needs to go here?
Well, they have some needs on the defensive side of the ball. I thought maybe trying to find another pass rusher, whether that's inside or on the perimeter. Yatur Gross-Matos from Penn State has a ton of production. You also have Ross Blacklock, who can give you some interior pass rush. So if they want to go along the defensive line, there's a couple good options there. But I'm with the guys in terms of, I'm curious to see, do we see a running back come off the board? Because DeAndre Swift, he sticks out like a sore thumb as my best available player.
Yeah, listen, especially with the way the running back position has sort of evolved outside of Derrick Henry, who was the leading rusher last year as a power downhill runner. Most teams are looking for running backs the likes of the Christian McCaffreys of the world, which is something that DeAndre Swift does very well, running and catching the ball out of the backfield. So for the third time, we believe the pick is in here for Brian Flores. Listen, Brian, I get it. Coffee, caffeine, it's important right now. We understand. Chris Beard, the general manager, also trying to figure out what is happening. But we believe that the pick has finally been handed in to the commissioner. So we're going to find out after taking Tua Tagovailoa, 5th overall, then taking Austin Jackson, 18th overall, where the Miami Dolphins go here with their third first-round pick. Let's go back to Commissioner Goodell.
With the 30th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, Miami Dolphins select Noah Igbenogany, defensive back, Auburn.
Okay, somewhat of a surprise here because remember, they paid Byron Jones and Xavier Howard all that money to be the top two paid corners in the NFL, and now they take another corner, Noah Igbenogany, out of Auburn. Now, let me tell you something. If you want to talk about good stock, both of Noah Igbenogany's parents.
All right, I'm back.
Yep. That's all. I just think that if she is that chick and she's trying to, bring about the change she's trying to bring about, she knows if she doesn't know, she will learn that there's going to be casualties. And on both sides, there's going to be some casualties.
What do you mean both sides? What's the other side?
I mean, her opposition is going to have casualties too. They're going to take some losses.
Who's the opposition?
Those who would oppose whatever her agendas may be. I I just know poor people and the working class people are my best guess would be that those would be the people who would suffer. Like that's normally the case. What happens is you get to this breaking point, right? Where, like, if you look at the civil rights movement, we were suffering and we were called to suffer even more. And as you said, we're already getting beat, right?
Right.
Like, and you know, I just think that, you know, I often tell my friend, we always say this, I'm like, people want change. And it's something that I think you started to touch on, right? People want change, but are they really willing to go through and or do what is necessary to bring about the change that they want?
Right.
Or is it just talk?
Well, you know what's interesting about change is different people will sacrifice themselves at different levels. Like
Yep.
during the bus boycotts, we all had to boycott the buses, right? All of us. No one could like hop on the bus, right? But during the marches where people were getting beat, it wasn't everyone. It was a few people. It was a few people doing that.
More than a few, but definitely not everyone. You're right.
Right.
Well, can't everybody be special forces, right?
Well, in the grand scheme of things, even if it looked like a ton of people, percentage-wise of the population,
yes,
maybe it was a few. But you're right, it was more than a few, definitely.
You know, everybody can't be special forces. Everybody can't be in intelligence. Everybody can't be infantry. Everybody can't be communications.
And truth be told, everybody can't be even general infantry, right?
Yeah, so I said everybody can't be infantry.
Right.
But there will be infantry. And what I mean by that is those people on the front lines who will die.
Yeah.
Or who will suffer, not necessarily a real death. But you understand what I'm saying? Like there will be infantry.
Right.
Or meat shields, as they call them.
Meat shields?
That's, you know.
Yeah.
A meat shield. You're the one who's going to catch the bullet first. Or in the case of poverty, you're the one who's probably going to be a statistic. You're the people whose plight I'm going to build this war on.
Right.
Those dudes who died, who starved, who, you know what I'm saying? This is the narrative. I'm painting it as just a story. This is the narrative. All these people died in their homes. As many people who died from COVID died from, you know, being unemployed and hungry and broke at home. Kids couldn't get medical treatment. You understand what I'm saying?
Here's my thing. For the level of hardcore shit that you're talking about, someone who is a representative, they're not going to take it to that level. I don't think she's willing to sacrifice a bunch of people in order to make things better. There are people like that, but
not her.
No.
Then sadly she's not the one. And what I mean by that is she'll be great in whatever she does, and her message may be her message in her life may be the spark that ignites the flame that is the one.
Well,
I'm not so complacent in where we are at in American history as to think that a civil rights movement that was the last, or any of these movements where people had to fight. I'm just not so comfortable and complacent at where we are in history that Ishmael, believes that we're at a point where there is not another fight to be had.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that there isn't. I'm not saying that she thinks there isn't. I just don't think that it's like you have to sacrifice a bunch of people in order to do it. I think the attitude is poor people are already being sacrificed. If anything, We have to find a way to strategize and fight back without like throwing a bunch more people to the slaughter.
Okay. I don't see it, but that doesn't mean that it's not possible.
Well, you know how they say work smarter, not harder?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think what you're talking about, I think this may be an old school way of thinking. And I think a lot of tyrants think that way. They think of themselves as people who are doing what's necessary for the liberation of many, but I think modern day society of like someone who considers themselves like on the right side of things, I don't think they're taking it to that level where it's like, all right, we got to let shit get way worse before it gets better.
But isn't that another quote, right? Like it always gets worse before it gets better.
I mean, well, A, it's already gotten worse. B, the quote isn't like we're going to precipitate that ourselves.
No,
like
and that's what I was going to say when you're like, you don't think that people are going to be looking to make sacrifices. What I'm saying is that people are going to recognize that sacrifices are going to be made.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're going to come to that. I said she's going to come to a point where she's going to have to realize. Doesn't mean she's looking to make the sacrifices. She's going to have to make a choice.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? That's always what I've been describing. But she's going to get to a point where she's going to have to make that choice. That's my thought process. If that's if like she's again, or what real, like these are going to be minor changes. They're going to be progressive changes.
Well, you know,
and it will be because she's not the one, and that's okay. She may be, you know, sometimes the one comes because 5 people preceded him and paved the way for the one. And all of the conditions were right.
So
all of the math added up.
Do you think we are in a position where we're gonna have another one? Like there was an MLK or there was a Malcolm? You think we're going to be in a position where we have someone of that caliber?
I just think that history kind of dictates as much, right? And again, I don't have any factual basis for this other than records of history, which I can't use as fact because just because these things happen in succession in history does not mean that the natural step would be something similar. But in my head, I just don't think I'm not comfortable enough with the state of things. Like I'm not complacent. I used to describe it back in the day as I'm in a box. I live in a box and we all live in this box. Mm-hmm. And we don't know that we live in a box because we don't see the walls. And there's enough inside this box to keep us content. So we don't even know we're in a box. I think it's going to boil to a point, especially with so much contention, because we're so inundated with information on a level that we've never been hit with before due to the information age and social media and our ability to access things at the touch of a finger, as well as, and as a result of that, one of the byproducts of our inundation with information is unbridled contention amongst ourselves. Like it's just unbridled, this contention. And you know, all I gotta do is take a couple clicks into a social media post to point out the racist, and not only that you're racist, how racist you actually are. And I take a couple more clicks and I know that you don't care about me because I have COVID and you want to go out, or because I'm poor and you work for a living. Like it only takes a couple clicks, it's only a couple button clicks away, and I see an extreme sentiment. Now, you know, first I just now was describing some casual sentiments, and now I see an extreme sentiment. And you're showing it me, and you're telling it to me. And you know, back in the day, I would have never known. Yeah, you might tell me about it, but I can see it now. It's this unbridled contention. Everybody is angry about every talking point, no matter how morally corrupt you are for being angry or not. And so, yeah, I definitely think that I don't even understand yet how, all these mechanisms are going to come into play and what will be the thing that tips the scales or, breaks the dam, so to speak, or the straw that breaks the camel's back. Like, I don't even know where it'll come from. But I definitely think that, to answer your question, yes, I do think that there is going to be a one and there will be another battle to fight. I definitely think so, for sure. I don't think that we've gotten to a point in America where we're so good that everything is a talking point.
That we're so good that what?
Everything can be solved is a talking point. That it can just be solved through talking. I just think that there are things that we can't foresee that are going to need more than words, that people are going to become fed up. I mean, people are arming up on both extremes. They're like buying arsenals.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what do you have them for? To put them on your shelves and wait till they appreciate in value? They're going to be collector's items? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, no. They're what I used to tell another friend of mine, and he stopped a couple years ago. He was, registering, to become a licensed firearm carrier.
Okay.
He was going through the courses, the whole nine. And once he got it, he was buying guns. And I said, the odds of you having a reason to use your gun increases because you own a gun.
What did he say to that?
He used to argue with me about that. Say again?
What did he say
He
about
used to argue. He didn't agree. Until he told me one day he doesn't carry his gun anymore. And I'm like, why? And he goes, because I find myself, he gets road rage. So he finds himself yelling and screaming at other drivers.
Yeah.
And one time the other driver was yelling back at him, and this guy's a Christian. He's not a violent person. He's not going to shoot you. But I remember he called me up and he said, Ish, I found myself thinking like you're arguing with me and I'm sitting in my car with a gun. And he said, I had to check myself. Like, why is that what I'm thinking? So he stopped carrying his gun with him.
Okay.
And I said to him, yeah, dude, remember I told you? He was like, yeah. I'm like, just because you have a gun increases the odds that you will use your gun. Like, the odds are zero if you don't own a gun that you'll ever shoot anyone, right?
Sure.
You don't own a gun.
Sure.
The moment you purchase one and you own one, now you've increased your chances for being in a situation where you would use that gun.
Right. And now it's not like he's just keeping it at home. He's taking it with him in his vehicle.
Yep. Not anymore.
Right.
This is the reason why when I bought a weapon, I bought a rifle. Because I have a responsibility to my community and to people. And I know me. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I said, you know what? I don't like handguns. I don't even like concealed carry because I think it's cowardice. I prefer if you're going to carry open carry.
Right.
Because I came up in the hood and I came up in a lifestyle where you had so many people who, like, you wouldn't stand here and argue with this dude, but you're going to choose to do it because you got a gun on you and he don't know it. So now today you're going to stay here and argue with him and someone ends up getting shot. But yesterday you would have handled it differently.
Right.
But you got a couple, and I used to see this in the hood. So this is a lesson well before I joined the military that I learned about people. And I'm like, oh, they get a cup of courage. How many people get shot where they otherwise wouldn't have just because you have a gun on you? You see what I'm saying? Now you're arguing, and that argument gets heated, and y'all in a fight, and it just y'all fight and get it over. No, they get shot. Because now it's self-defense because you couldn't beat the dude. Right?
Right.
How many people now got shot just because you got a gun and they didn't really have a fair chance because it's concealed? Stop it. At the very least, I'm going to argue with you anyway. You got a gun on you. I don't expect to get shot because we're arguing. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I see the gun. That's not cowardice. But if it's concealed, to me, it's cowardice. So I bought a rifle because my weapon is for home defense. Like getting an argument with you on the street, I'm not coming home to get my rifle to come look for you. My shotgun. I'm not coming to get. That's not my character.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? My shotgun is to defend my home. If you come in here, you'll get shot. Other than that, we argue on the street. We argue. We get in a fight. We get in a fight. Police handle it. See what I'm saying? I'm not coming to shoot you because I have a responsibility to people in the community. But I recognized a long time ago, like I have a gun in my home. So the odds of somebody getting shot in my home have increased.
Right.
See what I'm saying? Like I increased those odds when I brought the gun in my home. When I bought it and brought it through the door, I increased those odds. This is something that I take seriously. I took it seriously when I bought it. Pray to God I never have to use it. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't want to kill you. Why I bought a shotgun? I will kill you. But if you hear that click, click, boom, that should deter you. Turn around and leave.
Yeah.
Not gonna shoot you in your back. I'll let you leave. Peace. Call the police. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to kill you. I don't want to kill somebody. I don't think you should die because you robbed my house. Sorry, I'm not so gangster that I think someone should die because they broke in my house.
Sure.
I think you should definitely get what's coming to you if you put me and my family in danger.
Now that sound is specific to a shotgun. Click, click, boom.
Yeah. Yup. The pump.
Yeah.
The boom is the sound of the shot. Yeah. Yep. It's a very, and I tell people I got it because the shotgun sound should be a deterrent, right?
Right.
If everybody's safe and I fire off, that should be enough to make you turn around and leave. If not, it has enough stopping power that if I shoot you, you're going to stop.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
That's why I bought a shotgun. The best home defense, in my opinion. For those reasons. I don't want to kill you. If you get hit with a shotgun, you're going to be permanently maimed. Again, I don't want to even do that. You can leave. I don't want to kill anyone. I definitely don't think people deserve to die for breaking and entering.
Well, how do you feel about non-lethals?
Say again?
How do you feel about non-lethal weapons?
Non-lethal rounds? I don't have anything against them. I won't use them. And that's only because I'm not familiar enough with them to trust that they will stop an assailant.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right. But don't you see police, don't you see police like tasing people all the time?
Oh, like a taser? Yeah, I'm not
know.
tasing you. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I thought you were talking about non-lethal rounds. Yeah, I mean, taser, I don't know that tasers are illegal in every state anyway, but are legal in every state. But my first thought process was just get a firearm. I didn't even consider like anything non-lethal like that. I never considered it. My first thought process was, and it wasn't until I moved into the suburbs that I even felt the need to own a weapon.
Why is that?
Because of how they treated me. Like I thought everything was funny until my wife told me she was concerned. You know, by the way, like egging my car and saying little things like, I had old white people. I'm running there. If I see you on the highway, better get out of my way. Stuff like that. Like, okay, I don't feel comfortable. I have another friend, Sam, who said the same thing. He's Hispanic. And he's also said he's never felt any more uncomfortable than when he moved to Kenmore.
Okay. Is that where you live?
Yeah, I live in Kenmore.
Okay.
I've posted that on Facebook.
Right.
I didn't feel the need to buy a firearm until I moved to the suburbs. I lived my whole life with my wife. My daughter never had a firearm. Done lived in the hood, all of that. It wasn't until I moved in the suburbs. You know, I know how to live and navigate the hood.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I can just mind my business and keep to myself, and I'm not gonna, if I'm out there living that street life, then street things come to you.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Right. But if I'm not, then I can live in the hood successfully without ever having to deal with that hood stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That can't be said for a minority living in the suburbs. People go out of their way to let you know they have a problem with you. And I'm not about to. I thought it was funny at first until I saw the look on my wife's face and the concern in her voice when she was like, "Ish, that's not funny. Me and your daughter." And I'm like, "Wow, I live with two women. I'm going to get a gun." See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm going to get a firearm. Was nothing more that I needed to think about. Went and got a firearm. When those two women, who mean more to me than anything else in life, express their concern, and the house that we own, that was all I needed to know. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like in my mind, there was nothing more to think about. That was it.
Yeah.
No way y'all are gonna feel uncomfortable in the house that we own. Now we don't rent, we own. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Before this house we rented, we own. We ain't own a gun. Now we do.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now we do. That's what it is. But yeah, no, I feel like, you know, people are arming up. Like, things will come to a head. I mean, we haven't really had a 21st century battle yet.
Now, what are people arming up about?
I don't know. There's a whole bunch of misconceptions. The government's coming. Like, there's so many narratives.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you and I both know they are arming up.
Yeah.
It's people with arsenals.
Well, they've always thought the government was coming.
Yeah.
And they thought Barack Obama was going to take away their guns and all this other stuff.
I mean, that's always their narrative, right?
Yeah.
Anytime one of their kids gets a hold of their legal firearm and shoots up the school, rather than provide a solution, they tend to tell you, "Oh, they want to take our guns away."
Right.
Nah, we're just asking you, how do you intend to solve this problem of your children taking your legal guns and going to schools and shooting up people?
Right.
You don't even want to address it at all?
Right. Well, you know, I mean, my question, and some of this was like leading into this question, and when I asked you about the non-lethals, is like, we probably had this discussion before, is like, I don't feel that cops have are showing the responsibility of handling guns. You know, I believe they've shot too many kids, too many black people, too many innocent people, and I think that they should be handling non-lethal weapons. And my thought process is, you know, and I've seen like, I don't know if they were bounty hunters. They look like cops, but I've been watching these clips lately of people like trying to like arrest folks on a warrant, and, you know, going to the house and everything, and like, you know, using their what do you call them? I guess not a stun gun, but what do you call it? I just said it. The zapper thing. What do you call that thing?
Taser?
Yeah, using a taser and like putting people down. You know, they go down pretty quick. I mean, some people are stronger than others, but I mean, there's a ton of different non-lethal weapons out there, and the idea is like if that weapon is supposed to stop someone, right? You talked about stopping power, and it's supposed to neutralize a threat so that they can't hurt you or get to you or maybe even run away, right? Because a lot of these cops are fucking shooting people in the back. Why do you need a weapon that's going to kill them if you're not judge, jury, and executioner? Why don't you just,
You
why
mean
can't
me
you?
particularly
No, no,
or a
not
cop?
not a cop. A cop. I'm talking about a cop. Like, why aren't they just using, weapons that are specifically designed to neutralize threats? Like, why would they
Well, there's a
need?
couple there's a couple factors that come into play because it's a good question. But, one of the things that you got to consider, and I'm not this isn't a counter to your question. It's just something to consider because it's a good question. Something that, we'll explore. But what a counter, not a counter, but just something to consider is if a cop knew that he had rubber bullets that were non-lethal, could he become abusive?
What do you mean?
Well, people get tased that don't deserve to be tased now.
Hmm, I don't. This. I mean, that argument.
No, I mean
Instinctively.
they really do though.
Yeah, but that argument
Like, would a
instinctively.
cop?
Yeah, I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna answer you. That argument instinctively makes me laugh because people get killed who shouldn't be killed. People get shot who shouldn't be shot.
I didn't hear you. You got to repeat
Oh,
everything.
I said people get killed who shouldn't be killed. People get shot who shouldn't be shot. So, so it's kind of like when people are like afraid of unionizing because they're like, oh, what if they fire people or what if they, treat you bad? And you're like, they're doing that already. This is like to
No, no,
protect
yeah,
you.
yeah, you're right. But I mean, would cases of abuse increase beyond the number of people getting shot for no reason? Meaning,
I don't
I
think
wanted to
so.
teach you a lesson, so I empty a clip in your stomach of rubber bullets and break your rib cage, and then I just filed on a report. I had to do it because I knew he wasn't going to die.
Man, listen, let's
But then again, they
let's
do
get
wear cameras.
let's get to that problem when we get to it because right now our problem's worse. Right now our
Hmm.
problem is dying.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna
No,
sit
because
there.
if I was a cop, and I've said this before, if I was a cop, I would punch people in the face
Okay.
rather than take you to jail.
Yeah.
I might I might come pick you up on that domestic, assess the situation, drive you like 8 to 10 miles away, whoop you out, and be like, get out the car.
I mean, you sound like you've worked for the LAPD before.
Well, I'm saying this. That's the reason why I'm not a cop, and I'm not a morally corrupt person. But I'm also thinking you do have to be punished for what you did, and I don't always want to just take you to jail.
Well, I mean, that's another conversation. Is we really need to screen these people better. We really need to ask these people like what their favorite superhero is, and if they say Batman or anyone who's anyone who's a vigilante, like get them out of there. Get them like out of there.
I
Like
mean, I'm just saying.
I'm making a joke
I don't
about
mean
it,
I want to
but
kill you. I'm just saying, like some young teenager who probably his life is going to be ruined to go to jail. I might just take you somewhere and like punch you in the mouth. Like, listen, man, what are you doing? Are you stupid?
yeah,
Like your mom is a single parent. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, and you might just need that rather than me taking you to jail and you getting a record.
No, I get you. I mean, there are other programs that do work. I think we need new community programs.
Mm.
And the way we can advertise it is like, look, this program is better than a punch in the mouth. You know? Like, but no, I mean, getting back to it, no, I don't think there's a risk for people abusing it. more. I think there's a risk for less deaths if people have non-lethals.
Well, you already know the counter. There is a counter argument.
I mean, I'm sure I
It's
know.
it's the easy counter argument.
Well, yeah. Good thing about easy counter arguments is they've been thought of already,
Yeah,
and there's
it's
counters to the counters.
it's the one that goes. The bad guys aren't using non-lethals.
Okay, well, good because you're not a bad guy.
I mean,
You know what else the bad
I,
guys are doing? Bad guys are selling drugs. You want to do that too? Oh, you're a cop. You probably are. What else are the bad guys doing that you want to compare yourself to?
yeah, but
I
that's still
mean,
the easy argument.
well,
It's not the one I trust me. I hate that argument. I always, I often tell people who are proponents of the Second Amendment, and I'm a proponent, but I often tell people it's disingenuous for you to argue that the bad guys, like I say it all the time, it is
mhm,
very disingenuous for you to argue that the bad guys aren't exercising gun control.
right.
Why is it disingenuous? Because these bad guys that you're talking about don't look like you, and you'll
Hmm.
never encounter them. And what sucks about you using that as an argument is that you aren't using your legal guns to go to the neighborhoods where the bad guys are actually terrorizing people and
Hmm.
doing anything about it.
Right.
You don't even mention the bad guy until people ask questions about what are you going to do to regulate your legal gun, because these dudes aren't you'll never run into these dudes. They're not coming to your neighborhood. They're
Wait a
not
minute.
coming in
They're,
your
they're gonna say,
house.
wait a minute. Um, People get robbed all the time.
Not in your neighborhood. They don't come to your house. You've never had to shoot anyone, and you got an arsenal.
Well,
When you say bad guy, you're talking about people that don't look like you. You stereotype them. The media does it. It's the reason why we get a different description for the same crime based upon color. White male versus black thug.
God forbid, should anyone ever come over here, they got what's coming to them. And my boy Bob, he got robbed a couple weeks ago. He doesn't live far away from here, so it happens.
Mm-hmm. It does, but it's few and far between.
Well,
Trust me.
all it
People
takes
from the
is
east side aren't. People
all
from
it
the
takes
east
is
side aren't
once.
coming.
All it takes is once.
Here's
For
yeah,
my
I know.
wife
That's why
for
that's
my
why
wife
they
to
have
be
the
right on the
narrative.
floor dead. All it
That's
takes is
why they
once.
have the narrative, though. That's why they have the narrative.
Hmm.
But I tell you what, you weren't concerned about these so-called bad guys when you've been watching the news every night and they terrorize the people in that community, and you've never met them. You got a friend named Bob.
Actually, you know what? I've met a couple of them, and I told them I disagree with. I agree with their Second Amendment right. I see why they want
To
guns.
you agree with the right to you see, and
To
this is
protect
where
themselves.
hold on. This is where you, as a legal gun owner who's afraid to get robbed or encounter these so-called bad guys, this is where you get full of yourself. And the reason why is because what you're doing is you're comparing an illegal gun issue to a legal gun issue. And these illegal guns are used to terrorize and kill children in impoverished communities all over the country.
Oh no, sorry,
And you're not
sorry, you heard me wrong. I meant I was talking to a good guy in one of these neighborhoods, saying the good guy should get a legal gun to protect himself from bad guys in his own neighborhood. That's what I meant.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
hear you.
Hmm.
I hear you. But it's easy for you to give me that advice when you don't live in the neighborhood with the bad guys.
Well, how else are they going to protect themselves from bad guys in their
Hold
neighborhood?
on. It's easy for you to hold on. It's easy for how can you determine who the bad guy is? You have
I
a
can't.
perception.
I can't, but they can, and that's why I'm telling.
Yeah, but you're but hold on. You can't really that's a position of privilege
Well, hey, I'm just
because you
agreeing
can't
with.
really
I'm just agreeing with Raekwon that if he wants to purchase a legal
But you're
weapon,
not really agreeing with Raekwon. You're advising Raekwon.
oh no, I mean Raekwon doesn't take advice from me. I'm just
Oh, that's what
agreeing
you
with
said. I told Raekwon that Raekwon should
him. Oh well,
get
I mean,
a legal gun to protect himself from the bad guys.
oh, I
And
mean that's how we
you've
talk. That's how we talk to each other. We don't mean anything
you've
by it.
determined you've made the determination on who the bad guys were. Like you've come to this conclusion with no evidence. It's kind of like a white guy.
This is Raekwon telling me this.
No, this is the news telling you this, and you're telling me Raekwon is telling you this. This is the news. Your narrative is not Raekwon's narrative. You share a narrative. It is a popular narrative.
He's a really nice guy, by the way. Very.
You can tell me. You can give me anecdotal evidence, but I'm gonna go with the narrative. You can certainly give me anecdotal evidence.
Well, let me ask you a question.
You can hold on. Let me finish. You can say you know a guy named Raekwon, but that does not discount that you have a narrative. And Raekwon happens to be your scapegoat in order for you to say you don't fall under the umbrella of the narrative. But you have a narrative.
A nice guy. He's not. Raekwon's not a scapegoat. He's a nice guy.
I'm sure he is, but you certainly have a narrative. That's the narrative that you're running with. The bad guy. Your only concept of the bad guy comes from Raekwon.
Well, you're not calling Raekwon a liar, are you? I mean,
no. I'm saying that your only concept is kind of like when my friend Hunt and we had this argument tells me that when his wife drives through the Perrys, he tells her not to obey any traffic signals because he has a concept of the Perry projects that is not the case. And this is and now Raekwon will tell you this, that a black person in the Perry projects is more inclined to rob someone that looks like him than rob the white girl driving through.
And that's why I told Raekwon to get a gun.
Hold on. And again, you're missing the point. Like you totally missed the point. These so-called bad guys are more of a threat to people that look like them in their own communities than people that look like you. It's like you're saying.
Raekwon
hold on. It's like you're saying, well, you know, they're not exercising gun control in China, and look what they're doing to the people over there. You don't live in China.
But they're not coming. Not exercising gun control in China, and look what
I'm using that as an example. It's just it's a hypothetical. You don't live in China. You don't live in the Perrys.
I was going to say they probably are exercising gun control over there. Because if they wouldn't, those Africans would be shooting back to protect themselves.
You don't live in the Perrys. You don't live in China.
Well, Raekwon looks like people who live in the Perrys.
You don't live in the Perrys. You don't live in China. You don't live in any of these areas, and you've come to a conclusion that these areas you're taking. Raekwon speaks for the entire community. Raekwon's opinion of the bad guy is yours.
Well, he's pretty articulate. Raekwon. So.
That has nothing to do with him speaking for. He's one person. He can only speak for himself.
Well, I don't want to speak. Community. I don't want to speak for his people. I just listen.
Yeah, but you are. If you're defining the bad guy, you certainly are.
Don't blame me. Blame Raekwon.
No. Now you're just talking ignorantly. That's the point. That's what I mean. It's a circular argument because now you're talking ignorantly. You're ignoring the point in order to talk ignorantly. The point is, you're electing Raekwon to speak for an entire community that you're not familiar with, and you're defining the bad guy based off of his perspective. That's the point.
Well, honestly,
everything else is circular talk.
Honestly, I don't know who the bad guy is. I just know when he comes, you better be ready.
No. You already defined who the bad guy is. You defined it. And you use Raekwon's perspective to do so. And advise Raekwon to get a gun because of it.
Well, I didn't define it. I just said, any bad person who wants to, come get yours.
No. You said the bad people in his community.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know who they are.
Not in your community. You're not talking about the bad people in your community.
I'm ready for them too. I'm
Which
ready for
who
them
are
too.
they? What do they look like?
I haven't seen anyone recently, but I'm
Oh,
sure
so
when I see them.
you're an exception to the rule. That's cool. I'm good with that. That is all I needed to know was that you're an exception to the rule. And then we didn't even have to go in all this. That's all I needed to know. You're not adopting the popular narrative. You happen to be the exception. And I'm good with that. That's all
What?
I needed to know though, is that
Why? What is the popular?
you
What is the popular narrative?
we started the conversation based upon that. The bad guy,
Mm-hmm.
as according to the popular narrative. Mind you, when the people we're talking about, the demographic we're talking about, statistically, it is not a high crime area. Excuse me, it is not a crime area where the bad guys aren't regulating their guns. That doesn't mean it's not a high crime area. That don't mean y'all not molesting your kids.
Whoa,
And
whoa.
statistically, these people do not come from areas where there is high crime. By statistics, they don't come from areas where there's a characterized or a readily accessible depiction of a bad guy.
Wait, what do you
These
mean?
are not
people?
high crime areas. I'll give you sample. What do you mean? The people who are screaming the loudest under the banner of conservative anti-gun control, super extreme Second Amendment. We refuse to. We don't want to even talk about gun control.
Right. Yeah, well, that's why
I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example.
It's a nice
Kenmore
area.
is a low crime. I'll give you just a nice little pocket sample size since we're using anecdotal evidence.
Sure.
Since we've
It's the best kind.
I live in a suburb, and all of the suburbs around me, with the exception of one.
Okay.
One of them, with the exception of one, Tonawanda,
Mm-hmm.
has crime. All the other suburbs, very low crime. One police station suburbs. Amherst has widely been considered the safest city in America.
Okay.
That's where these people live, by the way. They don't live in the areas with the so-called bad guys.
Right.
They do, but not. They do live in areas with the bad guys. So I'm not going to say they don't. What I mean is, they don't live in the area with the bad guys who aren't regulating their guns. They live in areas with other types of bad guys because crime is income and class-based.
Okay.
Crime is certainly class-based. You're going to find different types of crime based upon the type of classes in the community.
Okay.
So based upon that, like, you're not shooting the pedophiles in your communities.
Well, if they come around.
Yeah, but they're not the ones who you're accusing of not regulating their guns.
Wait, no, I don't believe in gun regulation. I don't think anyone should regulate their guns.
Yeah, I know. But
Amendment.
you're saying, your argument is, why do we have to regulate our guns when the bad guys aren't regulating theirs?
Right.
That's the argument.
Yeah. So
you're not accusing pedophiles in your neighborhood. You're not even going to root them out.
Oh,
What you're doing,
if I see
what
one,
you're doing is you're
If I see
taking an
one-
illegal gun control issue.
Mhm.
I mean, that's easy to say, but all you got to do is do. They come up on your computer.
Mhm.
Y'all are cool with them red dots all over your neighborhood. What you're doing though is you're taking an illegal gun issue and you're making it your issue only for the purpose of your argument. An issue that affects poor people all over this country and leaves their children dead in the street. And then hold on, and you only do it when one of your kids goes and shoots up a school and leaves, or someone like you, their children, goes and shoots up a school and leaves a bunch of dead kids.
Well, yeah, I don't.
Then all of a sudden,
I don't want to be talking about guns all the time. I mean, that's the only time.
Yeah.
It's really
then
necessary.
all of a sudden, the illegal guns that kill a bunch of kids in communities you don't go to matter.
Right. Yeah, black guns.
Two different
black
issues.
Guns matter.
Two different issues that you're conflating so that you don't look at the problem.
And what's the problem?
That guns need to be regulated, or at the very least, you need to address why it is okay or why you don't want to do anything to prevent people, your children, from shooting kids in school.
You know why? Because I
I
mean,
mean, it's moot. The
if
whole
they take
conversation
they
is
take my
circular.
guns, how am I going to protect my family from the tyrants?
Yeah, no one said anything about taking anyone's guns. Someone asked you to provide a solution. That was what you were asked.
Solutions are slippery slopes.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
As slippery. They're even more slippery than kids getting shot, to be honest.
yep, they're pretty slippery.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty slippery.
Having a gun in your house with no restrictions is a slippery slope.
You know where they didn't have guns? In Germany.
Oh, they had them. Jewish people didn't.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
They had them.
You know who else didn't have guns? Africans.
You know who else didn't have guns?
Who?
The other kids in the school.
Right. Exactly. Had the good
Yep.
kids had guns, they'd probably still be alive.
Well, they don't go shoot up inner city schools.
No, because they're good kids.
They go shoot up the schools where the good kids are. Good kids go shoot up schools with good kids.
And that's why, well, no, bad kids are doing
No,
the
good
shooting.
kids. Good kids that are products of good parenting.
Those were bad
Parents
kids.
that are good enough to have unregulated guns in their house.
Those kids were listening to heavy metal and
Good Second Amendment parents.
those were bad. They
Good constitutionalist, patriotic parents
weren't
who
watching their
believe in the
kids.
right to bear arms. Who believe in the right to bear arms. Who believe in the right to teach their children the importance of gun safety and how to use gun, all of that,
Well,
with no restrictions.
they just weren't paying enough attention to their kids. I know my kids; they would never do that.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, there's that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Because ultimately their arguments become moot. It stands on they stand on the premise of I don't want to contribute any solution. I don't even want to posit an idea.
Right.
So ultimately their arguments become moot. It's just a moot argument. I'm going to blame illegal guns for why I shouldn't regulate legal guns.
Right.
Because bad guys aren't going and registering weapons.
Well, it's a very instinctual kind of like base argument that works. You know, it's just like it's like that Trump energy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like it doesn't have to be a great argument. It just has to hit you right there in the gut. And it just has to make you laugh a little bit and be like, well, bad guys aren't giving up their guns. And everybody else says, hell yeah. And then you just agree with it. I mean, that's how that stuff works. And those
Yeah,
are the,
but the thing is, no one wants you to give up your guns. You know what I'm saying? I'm a gun owner.
Obama did.
Say again?
Obama did.
Yeah, but he couldn't pass the legislation.
Yeah.
He knew that. That was rhetoric. It's rhetoric. Like, I'm a gun owner. I don't think that I don't want to lay down and I value, especially based upon my experience in this country, the ability to own a firearm.
No, I'm kidding.
I'll be
Obama never said he wanted to take guns away. I mean,
Oh,
no one has said that.
No, I actually thought that was something that was something that was a part of his agenda, to be honest with you.
No,
But
I was
again,
just saying.
I always defer to other people when it comes to those types of politics. There's a lot of things I just don't know, so I defer.
No, that's just the narrative. I mean,
oh, okay.
It's just Obama wanted to take guns away as much as he was not born in this country and was a socialist.
Right. Okay.
You know?
So, I personally value the right to bear arms. I value it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is important. But I also feel that I have The moment I decide to purchase a gun, I have a greater responsibility than, and this is someone I'm speaking from a military perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because when I was in the military, I couldn't just go get my gun at my leisure.
Mm-hmm.
Even my own personal firearm had to be checked into the armory
Mm-hmm.
and locked in.
Yeah.
Like, it just wasn't accessible to me.
Yeah.
You have to sign it out. You have to go through great lengths just to go sign out your weapon.
Now, speaking of...
And these are people in the military.
Now, speaking of what we were speaking about earlier, you know, in some countries, like the UK, that's like the cop situation. Like, they have to, like, sign out weapons. They don't just, like, always carry guns.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have these shootings like we have. Because, like you said, no gun, no shooting.
Mm-hmm.
But if they get into a tricky situation where they need a gun, they can go sign one out.
So think about this, Mike. Like, I feel like, and I've talked to other gun owners who don't agree with me. Well, my friend Rodney does. And he owns several guns, and he agrees with me, but everyone else doesn't. Like, I'm like, here's my solution. And I believe in imposing restrictions. I'm someone that if I owned, say, a handgun, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or anything other than a shotgun, right? Yeah, you should limit magazine sizes, for sure. And they ask me why, and my thought process is, well, if you got a 16-round clip, that's 16 people you could shoot.
Right.
Before you have to pop the clip and reload.
Mm-hmm.
If it's half the size, right, you shoot less people.
Yep.
And the reload process, because you have to reload sooner, might even allow somebody enough time to save their own life or to stop you.
To stop you, yeah.
So, but furthermore, this is what people don't like. I think that myself, I was about to say my whole name. I think that if I buy a gun, I believe that not only am I responsible for what I do with this gun, but I'm responsible for what everybody in my household who comes in contact with that weapon does with that weapon.
Sure.
That if my son, who's upset with his girlfriend, decides he's going to go take the gun and shoot 5 people, I am responsible as much as he is.
Right.
Because I've said to society, to the community around me.
Only if he's a minor, or?
No.
Okay.
Listen, I believe. Now, there's a difference if somebody breaks into my house, steals my gun.
Sure.
You understand what I'm saying? But if I go purchase a gun and I knowingly bring it into a household with several people, I believe in my head, Ishmael has signed a social contract. And I have a special provision in that social contract that says, I am aware by purchasing this gun that anyone who in my household that I allow wittingly or unwittingly to gain access to this gun can cause damage as a result of my purchase of this gun. And thus I'm responsible.
Mm-hmm.
This is my personal belief, though. And I feel that should be law.
Yeah. Well, hey, somebody's got to be held responsible, right?
Well, I think that what that does is it forces a level of restriction that didn't otherwise exist.
Okay.
Because if, this guy has an arsenal, now he's more cognizant of the people in his household and their ability to access it. My 14-year-old son who breaks up with his girlfriend and he's feeling suicidal and wants to kill a bunch of people. I'm now cognizant of this. I can't say, well, I didn't know he would do that. I'm now cognizant of it because I'm thinking if anyone decides to take these weapons and do something irresponsible with them, it is going to fall back on me no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
It's not trivial anymore.
Right.
Now, nobody has the password. Nobody
Okay.
has a combination. These
Okay.
joints are on lockdown. And you understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And I'm the only one who got it because I'm the one who brought him in this household. Now it's not so easy. I've eliminated, at the very least, I cause a lot of people to eliminate ways by which other people other than the purchaser of said firearm can gain access to it.
Right.
Because they're more cognizant of it. Because they now realize if someone gains access and does something egregious, I am going to be equally accountable, held equally accountable. It's a thought process that causes you to exercise a different level of responsibility than what you were exercising prior. Now you're just operating under the idea that, oh, they wouldn't do that.
Right.
I want to take away the benefit of the doubt.
Sure.
On a household level, before it ever gets out of the house. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, this is how I think. Like, if I'm willing to do that for myself, because the military imposed that on us, they took away the benefit of the doubt. We were soldiered, and you took away the benefit of the doubt. Even with our personal firearms, yeah, we can have them. They got to be checked into the armory.
Mm-hmm.
Can't have access to it.
Well, the other thing about the difference between the military and cops is, like, the level of responsibility for, like, while you're using your gun. Like, you're not, right? Like, you're not allowed to just, like, point your weapon, like, willy-nilly at someone, right?
No, you can't.
Right?
In the military? No.
Yeah. How do you feel about the difference between the level of, the level of responsibility for your weapon in the military versus cops and the level of training and all that?
I think it's poor. Military cops have to file a report when they unholster their firearm.
Mm-hmm.
They literally have to file a report because they unholstered it.
Right.
Like, that's how serious it is.
Right.
Not out here that I'm aware of in the civilian world.
No, and then also I've heard from military folks, like, if for you to, like, point your weapon at someone is, like, super serious. Like,
Yeah,
you have
I
to
found that out because I had a military cop point his weapon at me and he wasn't supposed to. And he was really cool, but he had to fill out all kind of reports. It was a big deal. I spent more time dealing with him having to fill out the reports than I did at the station for what they arrested me for.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah,
I mean, it was dumb. It was just I ran from them.
Okay.
And they couldn't catch me. So to get me to stop running, he pulled his gun out and freeze.
Mm.
And I stopped.
What were you running from them for?
Because I was arguing with somebody and they pulled up. Like, we weren't fighting or anything, we were arguing. They pulled up and I was pissed. And they pulled up and started asking questions. And I was mad. So I just walked away.
Right.
I'm like, I don't want to talk. I walked away. And they're like, hold on, come here, we're talking to you. And the cop got out of his car and started jogging towards me, and I ran.
Okay.
And I remember my man was like, you're not going to catch him. And the dude just pulled out his gun and was like, freeze. And I stopped.
Right. Now, see, so yeah, I mean, the way they've been doing it in the street here is like, and there's tons of videos of this now, like, on the internet, of cops, like, pointing their weapon at people, and it's like, that wasn't necessary at all. I mean,
it wasn't necessary for me to be getting arrested for having an argument.
Right.
But
I'm just saying, like, in the street, these cops are just, like, operating with no accountability. And, like, I mean, even, when folks are in the military and they're at war, they're not walking around with their weapons out, even though they're in pretty dangerous situations. But you have cops, like, in the street ready to pull out their weapon for, like, any little thing. And then including when someone's running away from you, like, literally shooting them in the back. And you're like, how can you possibly say that person was a threat when they were running away? You literally shot them in the back.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like there needs to be, like a major overhaul, and we should look at the way that the military engages versus the way that these cops engage, because they just don't seem to have enough oversight at all.
Yeah. No, I listen. Hasn't that been the issue for what, at least in the media for the past 10 years?
Oh yeah, 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 certainly.
Like that's been the issue for at least the past 10 years. So I mean, that's what Colin Kaepernick was kneeling for, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, we went from, gun control to those who are in control of guns.
Being out of control.
Yeah, being out of control, taking the law into their own hands. And it's like, I mean, bruh, what do you, I mean, I'm kind of at a loss because it's like, and I know you know where I'm going with this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there aren't any solutions, especially when it comes to, cops being out of control, right? Like, this is the conversation. Colin Kaepernick can take a knee and they can tell him to leave the country, and the white Christian girl can protest in the capacity of being a government official, and, people rally behind her.
Yeah. Well, there was a time where I was joking, like, all the white guys who take up lands and take up guns against the government, like the Bundys and all those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I used to joke, like, we should pair them buddy up with black people, so, anytime a black person gets pulled over, you have one of those white guys with guns in the car, like, defending us so they won't shoot. I think there was an incident the other day where, all the white guys with guns were allowed to do their thing and walk around, and there were a few, black people who had gathered in a park, and they were, like, arrested, like, at the same time. But these other guys were, like, gathering, doing their thing. It's like this egregious, different treatment of people.
Say that again?
No, I didn't say it well. I was just saying I was just reading about, I think, with some of the people who've been gathering around the country, while they've been allowing some of the white people to, like, protest with, like, open carry and, like, guns and stuff. At the same time, like, some black people were gathering without weapons or anything, and they got, like, arrested.
Okay. So, I'm just noticing the time here. Just now. It's 1:03. That's early. I want to segue.
Okay.
To regular, like, non-topical stuff.
Okay.
So, how do we get Dwayne, Katie, and Otis?
The other day I was excited when I thought you called me, but I guess you said I called you, and I saw all those names on the screen. I thought you had finally gotten them.
No, I thought those were people you included.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I didn't see any names. I just saw unknown, but there were several.
Yeah. I was like, oh man, he finally did it.
Man, I've been trying, and again, when I tell you I've been trying, I'm not trying to build Rome.
Right. Now let me ask you a question, just like, even if it's a funny question, just a straight up. You don't think they like get offended when you say they've been like ninjas and like they've been hard to get a hold of? Do you? You don't think that like pisses them off or anything?
No, but if they do so, they have been. Get out your feelings.
Right.
Like, we know each other. Like,
Yeah.
Are you so offended that you're just not going to talk to me? Like, Mike, we know each other.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, come on. If they know me,
No, I'm just thinking at every angle.
at what point did I stop being me that you're going to get offended by me being me? Like, they know me. That's what I would say.
Right.
Like, it's not like I'm out of character.
Right.
I'm the a-hole of the group, for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the sarcastic dude that's gonna say that I'm good. Come on, Mike, that's who I am.
Yeah.
It's not purposeful. It's just me.
Sure.
Lately, I have been operating for the past 2 years in a different capacity because I put in a concerted effort, but that's just me. Like, I was the dude, you don't know because you weren't here. Like, I was a dude where we'd all be sitting at Kelsey's house, right? Hanging out, chilling, and I would just get up and leave.
Okay.
And they call me and be like, dude, you went home? And I'm like, yeah. I was done. I was bored.
Mm-hmm.
I left. Like, that's me. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I would just, like, walk out the door.
Yeah.
And they would think I was joking until, 20 minutes passed and I hadn't come back because I got in my car and went home.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what type of party they think is going on inside of Ish.
Yeah.
Like, it's Ish. So if they're not offended. And if they are, it's not something that they, by me saying y'all been ninja?
Yeah.
Man, y'all some puffballs if that's the case. Like,
all right.
you understand what I'm saying?
No, I just
like,
had to ask.
Y'all have been ninjas, right?
Yeah. I just had to ask.
I mean,
so we got Dwayne on once. I feel like we almost got Otis on, but we switched up times. So do you think like Otis is the kind of person who, if we're gonna get him on, we gotta say a time and stick to a time, because the moment anything changes, there's too much going on and he just won't be able to switch it up?
I just don't know.
Because I feel
don't know. I can't get a read on that.
Because I feel like the first time around he was on board, and then that last time when we had said 9:30, he even gave me his email, so I try to reach out to him through Google Hangouts. That was probably one of the unknowns you saw.
When we went to record in early last year, was it? I had gotten contact with Otis, and I'm like, yo, me and Mike is doing the show. We need your help. He was like, yo, I got you. He like responded right back. Yo, I got you.
Okay.
The next time I talked to him was when we did that group message a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
So there's that.
Yeah.
I can't get a beat on Otis.
Okay.
Like, I can't tell you either way, like, what it is. Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on in his life. I don't know any of that.
And do you have contact with him besides the Facebook Messenger?
No.
Okay. So I'm just wondering, maybe he's one of those people who just like barely checks his messenger.
I mean, I see him posting on Facebook. I even posting his thread like, yo, get at me. That was like earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Nothing. But then he'll come on and like something. And then that's it.
Right.
So I don't know what's up with dude.
Okay.
Kelsey is easier to pin down.
Oh yeah, I see Kelsey's been a little active recently. He was looking at my story recently.
Oh, really?
Surprised. Yeah. Yeah, you have your little Facebook stories. He was checking out my story recently.
I don't know how to do stories. I don't do stories.
Oh, okay.
I've seen people's stories because I accidentally like click on them
Uh-huh.
when I'm like scrolling,
Yeah.
and they'll open up, but
Yeah.
I don't look at them.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know how they work.
It's basically just I don't know. It's like a highlight of like the latest stuff you've been up to. You can put music like you can do stuff like do a little collage of pictures and put some music in the background. So like I finally got to some cooking and I posted some pictures of some food I made, and then I was playing the the Ghostface song "We Eat Fish, Toss Salads, and Make Rap Ballads." You know, I was playing that
Mm,
in the background, just little fun stuff like that. Usually,
mm.
people post like little videos of them doing little fun stuff or whatever. It's just like it's almost like a little like a video diary or something.
Mm. Sounds lame.
Yeah, I mean, people. It depends on how you use it. You know, it
I'm
depends on how
actually
you use
joking.
it.
I'm actually
Yeah,
joking. It's something that, in a couple years, I'll probably check into it. I'm always behind the times
yeah,
when it comes to stuff like that. Like people
yeah.
have been doing stories.
I just really recently started using it, and then I found a little app where you can kind of do it even better. So I've kind of been using that.
Hmm. Well, yeah, I'm just, I'm slow. I'm slow to get on board with this stuff.
Are you on
But
Instagram?
I am. I don't have anything on there,
Oh, okay, okay.
but I
Because I
am.
got some of these. I got some Instagram stories on here.
I got to start an Instagram page and a Facebook page for Ahmad's comic book character,
Oh, okay.
Bronin. He asked me if I would be it's the social media director of the comic book as he's producing it.
Oh, okay.
And I thought about it for a day, and I told him I would. So I gotta set up this page, set up an Instagram for it, and then go from there. So I'll probably be posting and sharing more Bronin stuff
Cool.
over the coming weeks, which I'm enthusiastic about that as a project. So
Yeah.
I want him to put it out and produce it. I think it could be a thing. I don't tell him exactly what I think it could be because I don't want to just take your time, do your thing. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Yeah.
Produce your comic book. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I definitely think because of the art and how unique it is and his writing style and how funny he is. I mean, this is a guy who's published graphic novels.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, he's actually published
Yeah.
several graphic novels. You know what I mean? So, but I think, at the very least, he could get picked up by an indie company, and you know, I don't think it's unrealistic if it's something because it's such a unique art style and it's got such a unique humor to it that it's something that I could see getting picked up by a streaming service, an option for an animation. But I don't tell him that.
Yo, did you ever meet our friend Jason? Do you know Jason Rivera?
No.
Oh, can you see? Oh, this is. He's from our college days. He just joined me on House Party.
He just what?
You did you ever use House Party?
No.
Oh, it's another app. It's another app where you could join people.
Oh, okay. I haven't met him. He's from Buffalo. I suppose since you said
Well,
college
no,
days.
he's from the Bronx, but he went to school. He went to school with us. Yo, what up,
Oh,
Jason?
Yo, what up, kid?
Chilling.
Alright. Doing my thing.
Yeah, yeah. I'm on a
yo.
video conference right now.
So, alright, cool. Do your
Right.
thing. Lock your room.
Okay, I'll hit you up in a bit. All right. Um, yeah. So I don't know. Maybe we could get them. Maybe we could get them through House Party. It's another app that's kind of like easy for a bunch of people to hop on real quick, like on your phone.
So, are we still recording right now?
Yeah, yeah, we're recording. Yep.
Okay, good. So I can say this for the record.
Yeah.
I'd love to get them. I
Okay.
want to get them.
Yeah.
I will say that if I can't get them on Hangouts or Zoom, I'm not hopeful of House Party.
Okay. I don't. It just seems like everybody's on House Party nowadays, and it's
And
set up.
I wanted to be on the record
Yeah.
that the idea that it's easier to get a hold of Kelsey than it is Dwayne or Otis
Yeah.
is just like, is it snowing in hell? I want that on the record.
Okay.
I want them to one day see this and feel some type of way. Like, really? I love Katie. That's my man. Katie, you know you my man. But the fact that I can get a hold of you and I can't get a hold of Dwayne or Otis, like, stop it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's happening here? Like, is this like role reversal?
Yeah. That's crazy. We've got to find a way to get it together this weekend or something. But there's something about House Party that's like it's easier to get onto. You just once you download it on your phone and you can connect with people like kind of easy. That's like
How many people at a time?
you can get up to 8 people at a time.
And they all can see each other?
Yeah, and you can play games and stuff too. Win, lose, or draw and stuff like that.
Is this new?
House Party, it's a little bit new. Yeah, it's a little bit new. It blew up like during COVID because people, couldn't see each other and stuff.
If
It's
only
kind of funny.
if only.
My parents are on it now, like, and it's funny. Like you can see when people are on it, and the cousins are just laughing because our parents and our uncles and aunts are like using it more than we are now.
I mean, such is progression, right?
Yeah,
Technology opens doors.
yeah, for real.
All of these video, you know, these Google Hangouts and these Zooms and as you say,
Exactly.
House Party. All of these
Exactly.
things are like they're now going to be the way of the future.
Basically.
They're actually people that are reaping, or companies that are reaping the benefits, platforms that are reaping the benefits of this lockdown.
Yep.
Like they're straight reaping the benefits.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay. We're gonna come out of lockdown with a show.
Yeah. Exactly. I just sent
That's
you an
awesome.
invite, by the way, to House Party. Did you get it?
Yep.
Okay.
House Party. Oh, I gotta download the app. All right. Does this record to YouTube as well?
I don't know how to do any of that on House Party.
Sign up. I already have an account. I don't have an account. Oh, you suck. And it doesn't use my Google information. I actually have to put in all this information.
Oh, it doesn't let you just use your Facebook? Whatchamacallit?
Nope. It says sign up. And then I have these blank fields. Because I would like to just use my Google. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just be like Google. I'm not putting my full name in here.
Well, I know this isn't Otis's current number.
I gotta create a password. This username is already taken. How is that possible? How is my name taken? Stop.
Did you accidentally sign up already?
I've never signed up, but I'm gonna click I already have an account. Nope, that don't work. Somebody sign up under my name?
Wait, are you sure that wasn't the something like the invite or something I sent you?
Yeah, but then I had to download it. And then when I open it, it tells me that my username, I know what's going on here. Oh, full name. Duh. All right, let's try this again. I see now what I may have done wrong. So now I got to put in a username.
Well, I know the number I had for Otis is not the right number.
Why is that?
Because it's someone who says they don't know who this is. So his number is not 533-7185?
I don't know.
You have his number though, right?
No.
Oh, you only have his... Oh, okay.
Facebook.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I don't have his number. Never had it. I was born on a Tuesday. Mobile number. And I have to do +1. Man, y'all don't be playing. They want 1716. Please verify your phone. Oh, country. United States. +1. I don't even know what that means.
No, I think they take care of that one for you. The +1. Do you have your passport ready?
My what?
Your passport.
Why do I need my passport?
They'll show you in a second.
Nah, I'm not giving them my passport.
No, I'm just playing. I'm just messing with you.
I was about to say. That wasn't happening. Do I have to put the area code?
For the phone number?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, they're not that smart that they know your area code.
Enter your confirmation code. Man, they're asking for a lot.
But once you got it set up,
party.
You'll be down with the house party, though. I know you want to be down.
I am. What I don't want to do. Facebook. Log in with Facebook.
Yeah, that'll make it easier.
Larry Whitlock.
Oh, you're looking at... Wait, what are you looking at?
James Skipworth.
Those are people I know.
Willie Knightner. I know Willie.
Oh, they're giving you recommendations?
Yeah, for people that I know.
Know or might know.
Sarah Fisher, Nicole Capozzi, Colleen, Rachel, Jamie. Add your friends.
See,
it has you as a friend.
The thing that's good about this is, let's say Otis happens to be like in the vicinity or on, we'd be able to tap him real quick and everyone could just like jump in the party together. It's like they make it easy with House Party.
I have to give my camera and mic. Allow House Party to take pictures and record video. Should I allow this?
Yeah, definitely. That's the only way it works.
I'm always scared of that stuff.
Yeah, I hear you, but they already got you. There's no going back now.
And there we go. I'm in. Chrome app, party in your browser. Send yourself a link. I'm in House Party. Send face mail.
You don't have to do that one.
All right, so what do I do?
Oh, hold on. You're on your phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Yo, we're on. Yeah, you're in the dark.
I'm still on Google Apps, so I hear an echo.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's only half the screen?
Yeah, it's half. That's half the screen. Yep.
Are you there?
I don't know where you went. Oh, you're in the dark, so it's hard to see you.
Yeah. I'm sitting in the dark.
I see. Yeah, usually. Oh, yeah, usually people like to be able to see you.
I happen to be sitting in the dark. I'm laying on my couch, nowhere near the light.
Oh, okay.
And the TV went off.
Oh, I see.
And I just haven't turned it back on.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me get off and hang out.
Okay, sure. We'll stop Hangouts.